governor in the loop could perhaps be put on hold, as of course there will be wishes from all political parties for his speedy recovery. What does this mean for the current political developments? Maushami Singh is joining us with more details on this. Maushami, another dramatic twist. The Maharashtra governor down with COVID. He's been hospitalized. So any political development, whether it's regards to the Shiv Sena or regards to Eknath Shinde and to do with the governor, will have to be put on hold now.
Put on hold, or likely maybe an additional charge. The additional charge of the governor could be given to somebody in this light, because this is a very critical situation. Right when the political climax in Mumbai has peaked, the governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari, he's been tested positive. He's been admitted to the Reliance Hospital, and that really means that he is incommunicado at a point of time when it is anticipated that Eknath Shinde could well knock the door of the governor. Here you are, the governor admitted in the hospital, tested positive for COVID. That means he is out of bounds, and perhaps there could be somebody given the additional charge of Maharashtra as the governor, because this is a very critical situation. A constitutional crisis brewing, the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi government in a very critical position, and with that, adding more twist to the entire climax is that the governor, has tested positive and has been hospitalized.
What will this mean for the political developments that are happening right now, especially with some reports that suggested, Maushami, that Eknath Shinde was ready to take his next step, which was to shoot off a letter to the governor? Will he now have to re-strategize, recalibrate and figure out what next? And does this mean a breather essentially for the Shiv Sena, for the Mahavikas Aghadi?
We have seen cases, if you remember, even in JNK, when PDP had accused that they had tried to send a fax to the governor's office, and the fax was not received, and the governor's house said that there was no fax sent. So the role of the governor becomes extremely crucial, and even the access of the governor, who knocks at the door of the governor first, that's a big question. Who's got that letter? Who communicates to the governor first? That is very crucial and critical. And at this point of time, there are certain protocols in place. Of course, the office of the governor would very well be functioning. So if Eknath Shinde has to send a letter to the governor, he would be sending that. But at a point where the governor is indisposed, how soon would he react? What will be the way that he would react? You could not expect a reaction very soon, and that's one reason that maybe an additional charge could be given of Maharashtra to somebody else to act till Bhagat Singh Koshyari is well and can come back to office.
Okay, so this is a big update that's come in amid all that's happening in Maharashtra. The governor, unfortunately, is tested positive for COVID and has been hospitalized. Big question mark on whether there'll be a stand-in deployed considering all that's happening. Remember, one of the demands from the BJP has been to impose president's rule. And for that particular step to be taken, the governor is a very crucial player. It simply cannot happen without the governor's involvement. And with the Maharashtra governor testing positive for COVID, he will be out of action for the next few weeks. And that will mean that Eknath Shinde and the BJP perhaps will have to re-strategize on what their next step is. As far as Uddhav Thackeray is concerned, this could just mean a breather for him, because Eknath Shinde, some reports have suggested, was all set to shoot off a letter to the governor because he claims he has the support of 40 MLAs. Is that really the case, is the question. On your screens on the left, there are posters that have been put up now in Mumbai highlighting that the Shiv Sena is all set to, in fact, take on this rebellion. See this particular poster that you see there with a picture of Sanjay Raut. These posters have been put up taunting Eknath Shinde. The first time that we're actually seeing some sort of a jibe at Eknath Shinde. Paras Dama is joining us with more on that. curiously, Paras, we're seeing posters that have been put up with an angry Sanjay Raut taking a jibe, taking in fact a dig at Eknath Shinde over the rebellion that he's staging.
So what is happening from last 10-15 days has triggered Shiv Sena a lot, and now counter attack has been started from Shiv Sena. We are seeing the poster which has been put up over the Mumbai. So this is the poster where they are just counter attacking the rebellions which has been taken to Guwahati yesterday evening. First rebellion went to Surat and after that to Guwahati. Now Shiv Sena is targeting in their way. They had put up the poster which has written that तेरा घमंड 4 दिन का है टूटेगा जरूर. So whom Sanjay Raut and this Shiv Sena Sarkar is targeting, it's still a thing, but as we can see, it seems like they are targeting the rebellions which are in Guwahati right now. They are targeting Eknath Shinde, but not directly but indirectly. So now we can say that now Shiv Sena is in attacking mode and they are targeting that rebellion group which is in Guwahati. It started from Surat and now they are in Guwahati. So this all had been started, and today will be the important day in Maharashtra politics because there are some important meetings lined up today. First is the Congress meeting which will be led by Kamal Nath. After that, Kamal Nath can go and meet CM Uddhav Thackeray, and the most important meeting which can decide the things which is going around in Maharashtra, it's the cabinet meeting which will be led by CM Uddhav Thackeray. But the main thing which is happening right now is that Shiv Sena has been in attacking mode now, and they had put poster around Mumbai stating that 4 दिन की ही घमंड है तुम्हारा. उसके बाद जो है Shiv Sena will answer in their own way. So now we can say that they have started counter attacking on this rebellions, and they will counter attack now.
Shiv Sena now seems to be taking on Eknath Shinde for ditching the party for this rebellion. These posters showing an angry Sanjay Raut have been put up across Mumbai, sending across a warning to Eknath Shinde, saying that we will act in 4 days' time, see what happens. So this is an interesting turn of events that's being reported right now. One more update that is coming in right now. The Maharashtra Deputy Speaker is meeting with Ajit Pawar on all that's playing out right now. And, you know, it's very important to highlight here that the Speaker has a big role on deciding what the next step is. What happens to this rebellion? Rahul Srivastava is still with us. Rahul, you were mentioning this about the Speaker and the role that he plays in this entire rebellion. All right, we've lost that line, that connection with Rahul Srivastava. The Shiv Sena, the NCP, the Congress, Moshami is clearly trying to figure out what the next step is, how to block this rebellion from ensuring the collapse of their government. And in that case, if this reaches the assembly, if Shinde has more than 37 MLAs on his side, they want to ensure that they strategize fully with the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. They have a big role to play in this.
Absolutely, you know, in such a crisis, you know, Akshita, the role of the governor becomes very critical, and the role of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker becomes very critical. And, you know, if there is a constitutional crisis, if there is a floor test, a vote of no confidence and a floor test is required, then it is the Speaker who is actually plays the umpire. And in the past, the role of the Speaker has come under scanner many times with, you know, the Speaker siding with the party he actually hailed from. But he is the ultimate umpire. We saw it during the entire Karnataka crisis, how the Speaker's role was extremely crucial and much was being banked upon the Speaker from the side he hailed. So here this meeting is very critical. Even as Ajit Pawar meets the Deputy Speaker, they would be chalking out the strategy. What if Eknath Shinde sends a letter of support of 25 MLAs, 26 MLAs, including or excluding independent. What if the claim of 40 MLAs being with Eknath Shinde is actually true? And that's the kind of crisis that Ajit Pawar would be looking at cracking, even as, you know, there are a series of meetings, as mentioned earlier. First on, the Congress would be meeting, huddled in a meeting because they would like to keep their flock together. They were the weaklings in this entire formation, and they would like to save themselves from any embarrassment with the MLAs, Congress MLAs cracking up. So they would like to keep their flock together. Sharad Pawar is right here, the NCP Supremo. He would be meeting his MLAs and sending a clear direction. And you have Uddhav Thackeray, who's called in a meeting of the cabinet. So a lot of meetings after meetings, even as Mumbai leaders from the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi will be keeping a close watch at what's happening in Guwahati. I can tell you lots of telephone lines would be overactive, contacts being made. I just spoke to a very senior leader in the Congress, and he said, you know, there are several MLAs who are not on the same page with Eknath Shinde, and that's the reason the BJP, who doesn't waste time to strike when it wants to, is not on very strong footing, and that's the reason that they took them from Surat to Guwahati instead of getting them to Mumbai. If they had the numbers, they wouldn't waste the time. So the Congress and the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi leaders still believe that the numbers for the BJP are simply not adding up, and that's the reason that it's a wait and watch for the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi. We are at Varsha, and I can tell you that this will be the hub of all the political activities that we will see in the day. Kamal Nath is also supposed to come and meet Uddhav Thackeray. Uddhav Thackeray will be holding a cabinet also. So importantly, it is a D-Day as far as the politics, turn up political events relating to the government here in Maharashtra are concerned.
Very, very true. And what will things look like in hours from now is a big question mark. Uddhav Thackeray, of course, has a number of meetings lined up, political ones with his own party leaders and with his allies as well. But what is this rebellion going to really spell for Maharashtra? Let's put out some big questions that hopefully we'll get answers for in the hours to come. One, whether BJP can close the deal with Eknath Shinde, with Shinde Sena, a front clearly that he's forming with all the rebels that he's stacking up in Guwahati right now. It's clear that the BJP is in conversation with him. Number two, can Eknath Shinde keep his band of rebel MLAs united? He's made them actually sign papers, sign a pledge saying they'll stay with him. But with the Shiv Sena actively trying to reach out to them, still at this point, things could go awry for Eknath Shinde. Will Uddhav even consider allying with the BJP? This perhaps is the biggest question, the biggest conundrum that the Shiv Sena faces, because the rebels have said that our one condition for us to come back is that you join hands with the BJP. Does Sharad Pawar have a card up his sleeve? The last time we saw political drama playing out in Maharashtra, Sharad Pawar came to the rescue. He managed to ensure that it is the NCP, Congress and Shiv Sena that formed the government. So if anyone can pull Uddhav Thackeray and Shiv Sena out of this rut, it's Sharad Pawar. Is the collapse of Uddhav government now merely a matter of time? With all the scenarios that we've run through here on India Today, the only chance that Uddhav Thackeray actually has to save his government completely is to stop this rebellion. And for that, he needs to join hands with the BJP. So this seems like a big possibility. And perhaps we'll get answers to these questions in some time from now. All right, lots that's happened in the last few hours in this big story, in the Maharashtra political crisis. Let's round up all the big updates so far. Over 35 rebel MLAs, including Shiv Sena leader Eknath Shinde, have reached Radisson Blu Hotel in Guwahati. They were holed up in a resort in Gujarat, Surat earlier. Before leaving for Guwahati, all rebel Shiv Sena MLAs were asked to sign a paper showing their support for Shinde. Eknath Shinde, who's leading this mega rebellion after arriving in Guwahati, claimed that he has the support of not 35 but 40 MLAs. He said that he will carry forward Balasaheb Thackeray's Hindutva ideology. He further added that he's a Shiv Sainik and will never leave Shiv Sena for power. Leaders of the ruling Mahavikas Aghadi met Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray at his Varsha bungalow in Mumbai on Tuesday. NCP leaders Chhagan Bhujbal, Dilip Valse Patil, Jayant Patil and Ajit Pawar were present at this meet. In view of the current political crisis, the Maharashtra cabinet is set to meet today at 1 p.m. Shiv Sena's Milind Narvekar met with Eknath Shinde and other rebel party MLAs in Gujarat's Surat. During this meeting that lasted for nearly 2 hours, Narvekar made Shinde speak to Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray as well. According to sources, Eknath Shinde said that if Uddhav Thackeray is ready to ally with the BJP, there will not be a split in the party. But that's something that Uddhav has said will not happen. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma entered the Maha political drama before the arrival of the rebel MLAs at the Guwahati airport. The Assam Chief Minister visited this hotel, was at the Radisson Blu Hotel, stayed the night and left at around 5:30 this morning. Congress's Abhishek Manu Singhvi took to Twitter to say that Congress is an outsider in the Maharashtra political crisis. He added that the situation seemed to be an inter-Sena issue and wished the Shiv Sena comes out of this safely from what he called the BJP's sinister operation. And the NCP is closely tracking every update that's coming in because any problem to the Shiv Sena translates to a problem for them as well. And the information we're picking up is that Ajit Pawar is likely to meet with NCP Chief Sharad Pawar today. Remember that Ajit Pawar is currently meeting with the Deputy Speaker and that meeting is happening at his residence. We're being told that the Deputy Chief Minister there, Ajit Pawar, could be also meeting with Sharad Pawar later in the day. That is going to be a key huddle because it will essentially be to discuss what is the way forward, what is the NCP strategy here. And like I mentioned earlier, if there's any leader who can pull Uddhav Thackeray out of this rut, who can in fact turn the game completely on its head, it's Sharad Pawar. He's done it before. Will he do it again? Ajit Pawar will be meeting with Sharad Pawar today and there's going to be a clear discussion on what the NCP strategy is here and how much they will also help the Shiv Sena in coming out of this mess that Uddhav Thackeray finds himself in. Ajit Pawar is currently meeting with the Deputy Speaker because as I mentioned earlier, when it comes down to the number game, to what will play out in the Assembly and perhaps the fate of the Mahavikas Aghadi, the Speaker will have a huge role to play in that. And that's why Ajit Pawar is also meeting with the Deputy Speaker at this point. After that, we're being told he will be meeting with NCP Chief Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar already yesterday reiterated that as far as his party is concerned, there's no question of any rebellion, that the NCP MLAs are all together in this. There isn't a single MLA who's joined Eknath Shinde in this rebellion. But also what the NCP will be rather aware of is the fact that this rebellion has been fueled by the Shiv Sena's alliance with their party. The fact that these MLAs within the Shiv Sena are unhappy with Uddhav's decision of joining hands with the NCP and the Congress, which is why there will be a lot more focus on what emerges from these meetings between the NCP, the Congress, the Shiv Sena, and also on what the NCP strategy also is. Mustafa Sheikh is joining us live from Sharad Pawar's residence. Mustafa, what will Sharad Pawar do next is going to be a big question. You know, he's pulled out this alliance from a mess, from a political mess earlier. If there's any leader who can really destabilize this coup, it has to be Sharad Pawar. There's a meeting that we're being told that will happen today between the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister, between Ajit Pawar and Sharad Pawar.
Well, what we can say as of now is that for Mahavikas Aghadi, a few of the MLAs which have left with Shinde, other than that, Congress, NCP and other Shiv Sena MLAs are together. The house of Mahavikas Aghadi is together in this, but at the same point of time, the big question is that if Eknath Shinde has more than 37 MLAs, then the anti-defection law will not apply and the government can be suspended and re-elections can be called. But this is something which the Uddhav Thackeray government is trying to avoid, because even yesterday in the MLAs meeting, Uddhav Thackeray said that he is trying his best to bring back Eknath Shinde and the MLAs which are with him. So here Sharad Pawar, be it Congress's Kamal Nath, everybody is strategizing if it's possible to bring back these MLAs. Even if few of the MLAs are back, then there is some kind of a safeguard for Mahavikas Aghadi government. Meanwhile, what we are also hearing is that in this activity, the role of a governor is also important. Governor of Maharashtra, Bhagat Singh Koshyari, has tested positive and he's in HN Reliance admitted in a hospital. So that is also one of the big political development which has taken place. Sharad Pawar at his residence is strategizing for Mahavikas Aghadi, but whether it will be successful or not, only time will tell. Back to you.
NCP strategy here, Mustafa. As far as the NCP and the Congress is concerned, any bad news for the Shiv Sena translates to bad news for them as well.
Well, Eknath Shinde camp, while they reached Guwahati, they are claiming that they have support of 40 MLAs. And here, Uddhav Thackeray is saying that he has about 20 MLAs. So somewhere the figures are not are approximate and not exact. And that is where the entire political
now,
situation
Mustafa, my apologies for interrupting. We're cutting across live now to a reaction.
केवल ये फिजिकल एक्सरसाइज नहीं है, ये मेंटल एक्सरसाइज है और ये स्पिरिचुअल इस प्रकार का एक गेन आदमी को हो उस दिशा में योग के माध्यम से हमारे संतों ने, हमारे लोगों ने वर्षानुवर्ष काम किया है और इसका प्रचार विदेश में सबसे पहले हमारे विवेकानंद जी ने किया, भक्तिपाद ने किया, उसके बाद हमारे रामदेव जी ने।
Okay, so that is the governor, Bhagat Singh Koshyari, speaking yesterday on International Yoga Day. So apologies for that. He is currently hospitalized. He's been diagnosed with COVID, which means he's out of action for the moment. That is another big aspect that we'll be tracking very closely. What does it mean for Eknath Shinde's plans? Because some reports did suggest that with him boasting of having 40 MLAs on his side, he could choose to approach the governor, shoot off a letter to the governor. That plan will be stalled now with that big update. What will Sharad Pawar do next? What is Uddhav Thackeray's strategy to rein in his MLAs again? That and much more we'll discuss on the other side of a very short break. You're tuned into our non-stop coverage on the big political developments coming in from Maharashtra. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171. Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching India Today. You are watching
Do you litter Well, humans do have a habit of littering possibly everywhere, but here's something that will shock you. Human trash was found on Mars. Yes, we aren't kidding. NASA's Perseverance rover is on a mission to explore Mars planet, and while exploring, it found a piece of human trash. NASA shared images on Twitter where it can be clearly seen that a shiny litter is stuck between the rocks. It was indeed a surprise to find it in that region. So far, the Perseverance rover had no luck in finding life on Mars planet, but does finding this piece of trash really mean something? The rover actually stumbled on a piece of thermal blanket, which NASA thinks might have come from the rover's descent stage. The thermal blanket protects the rover from extreme temperatures. It is possible that the thermal blanket belongs to the rover's descent stage. But what NASA finds out is that the descent crashed 2 kilometers away from the location. So how did that piece of thermal blanket get there? The Perseverance team thought that it could have been blown away from the wind. NASA's Perseverance rover was sent to explore the red planet to find ancient signs of living. It landed on Mars in 2021 and since then has been collecting rocks, exploring the planet and sending back vital information to NASA.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching
Food wastage is not just a social problem, but an environmental one too. It is important to take concrete steps to ensure food wastage is avoided at all costs. Why we shouldn't waste food? When we waste food, we waste the labor, the effort, investment, and precious resources. It also increases greenhouse gas emissions and contributes to climate change. What you can do? Reduce. Be more mindful of food you buy what you use, and use it all. Improve food storage and reduce wastage at home. Reuse. If you don't eat everything you make, freeze it for later. Use the leftovers as an ingredient in another meal. Recycle. Recycle as much as possible. Try composting and put nutrients back into the soil. You can also start your own green patch of fruits, vegetables, or herbs. With these easy ways, you can reduce food wastage and become a food hero.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching India Today. You are watching India
एसोसिएशन विद नेटमेड्स, इंडिया की अपनी फार्मेसी, LIC हर पल आपके साथ, जियो मार्ट हर घर का मार्ट.
You're watching India Today and our non-stop coverage of all the latest twists and turns emerging in the Maharashtra political blockbuster that's playing out. Is the Uddhav government on the brink of collapse? Eknath Shinde, fueling this rebellion, claims he's not got 35 MLAs but 40 MLAs on his side. What does that mean as far as the numbers game go? What is the NCP, Congress and Shiv Sena strategy now? We'll be getting you all the latest on that and much, much more. I'm Akshita Nandagopal. Here are the headlines. Maharashtra political pot boiler gets hotter by the minute. Rebels shift base to Guwahati. Shinde claims to have the support of 40 MLAs and wants Uddhav to tie up with the BJP. Poster politics brews in Maharashtra. Sena ups the ante, taunts rebel Eknath Shinde. Poster saying our reign is everlasting. Your rule will last 4 days. Chief Minister Uddhav firefights Aghadi collapse, reaches out to rebel minister Eknath Shinde but remains defiant, saying they will not tie up with the BJP. Sena moves its MLAs to a 5-star hotel in Mumbai. Rebels move to Guwahati and the BJP is on an overdrive. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma visits the rebels' resort ahead of their arrival. Race to Resina Hill gains momentum. NDA nominates tribal woman Neta Draupadi Murmu for president. She will become India's first tribal president if elected. Non-stop meetings happening as we speak in Maharashtra with the NCP, the Congress and the Shiv Sena now holding huddles to figure out exactly what their strategy is going forward. As we speak, the Maharashtra Home Minister Dilip Valse Patil is meeting with the NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar to discuss what will be the fate of the Mahavikas Aghadi if the Shiv Sena continues to lose out on their numbers. This won't just be embarrassing for Uddhav Thackeray, it will be embarrassing for the NCP and the Congress as well. These parties recognize that. And now there's a meeting that's happening between the Maharashtra Home Minister and Sharad Pawar. Later, we're expecting that Ajit Pawar will be meeting with his uncle as well. So Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar will be meeting with Sharad Pawar. Kamal Nath has been sent across by the Congress High Command to kind of be the troubleshooter to firefight this crisis for the Congress. He is going to be meeting with Uddhav Thackeray later today. He's also going to be meeting with Sharad Pawar. And stay with us here on India Today as we get you the inside track of every single update, every single huddle that's being reported today. How does the Mahavikas Aghadi plan on dealing with this rebellion? How do they plan on addressing this crisis that they're facing currently? Paulami Saha is joining us live from Guwahati. Paulami, the rebel MLAs are currently in Guwahati. There's some reports suggesting right now that besides the 35 who flew in from Surat, there could be more. There could be more Shiv Sena MLAs from Mumbai coming down to Guwahati.
That's right, Akshita, we are reporting to you live right now from the Radisson Blu Hotel, from outside the Radisson Blu Hotel in Guwahati. And as you can see, the security over here is extremely tight, given the fact that there are, of course, the rebel MLAs of the Shiv Sena and some independents who are camping with them inside this hotel. So the security arrangements outside this hotel are extremely tight. They're checking every vehicle that goes into the hotel as well in order to ensure that nobody just slips into the hotel without the knowledge of the security and the establishment over here on the ground. As far as the rebel camp is concerned, of course, we learned from our sources last night as they were moving out of that Surat hotel towards Guwahati that there would be 33 Sena MLAs as well as 2 independents who are in fact moving with them, were being shifted in fact from Surat to Guwahati. But of course Eknath Shinde, as he landed over here and spoke with reporters, one of the first times he's actually spoken and given a public soundbite, he claimed to have the support of 40 with him. So he said that there were a total of 40 as he landed over here in Guwahati. But last night itself, now again, we haven't been able to count the number that's with him or be able to ascertain his claim as well, verify his claim at the moment. But at the time that our sources, reliable sources, told us that there were 33 plus 2, that is 35, that were moving towards Guwahati, we were also told that that figure of the Sena of 33 could go up to 36 in the coming days, and that figure of 2 could in fact go up to 9 in the coming days. So there could be 7 more independent / smaller parties that could be joining this camp if 35 is the figure we're looking at. And as far as the Sena is concerned, 3 more MLAs could be joining this camp as well. So it's not just the batch, Akshita, what we've learned, which has come in from Surat. There could be others who could be on their way to join this camp as well. At least this is what this camp hopes, and that is what possibly the machinations of the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is behind this rebellion as well, hopes. Akshita.
You know, some of the MLAs that we've spoken to, they're saying that right now we have 40. It could go up to 50. So they're saying more and more MLAs from the Shiv Sena, independent MLAs from smaller parties are going to be joining them, as Paulami also mentioned. Let me bring in Moshmi Singh also. She's reporting from outside Uddhav Thackeray's residence. With every hour, Moshmi, there's more bad news coming in, pouring in for Uddhav Thackeray. Slew of meetings that are happening as we speak in Maharashtra. But everyone's going to be asking one thing. What's Uddhav Thackeray doing right now to deal with this rebellion? Because all the MLAs we've spoken to, they've said one thing. They're against the Shiv Sena's alliance with the NCP and the Congress. And that's what it comes down to. The big question of whether Uddhav Thackeray will give in to an alliance with the BJP. If it is indeed 40 MLAs who are backing Eknath Shinde, and that number could go up based on what Shinde and his camp says, it spells huge trouble for, in fact, Uddhav Thackeray. Let me also get your sense of what's happening as far as the NCP is concerned. The Shiv Sena's ally, Mustafa Sheikh, is joining us live from outside Sharad Pawar's residence. Mustafa, slew of meetings we're being told that are happening with Sharad Pawar. Does he have a card up his sleeve that he's going to be playing to save Uddhav Thackeray from all of this embarrassment?
Well, the meeting is about strategizing mainly whether the Mahavikas Aghadi government has numbers. You know, still the Mahavikas Aghadi and Shiv Sena are insisting that there are few MLAs who are now currently with Eknath Shinde in Guwahati. There are some of the MLAs who want to come back. One of the MLA, Nitin Deshmukh, it's being said that wanted to come back yesterday while he was in Surat and he was not allowed to go, and a scuffle happened and Nitin Deshmukh had to be admitted inside a hospital in Surat. So this is something which the MVA is at this point of time looking whether they have the numbers, and whether, more importantly, Eknath Shinde has the numbers, which is 37 MLAs of Shiv Sena, to avoid the anti-defection law. So these are things which the MVA is strategizing at this point of time. What is in MVA's favor is that the House is together. Congress and NCP are supporting Uddhav Thackeray to be in the government. Uddhav Thackeray is now looking at independent and small parties, whether they have their support or not. So it looks like the fight will go on for a few more days. It will be also, the ball will be in Eknath Shinde's court as to what he wants to do. He had given the offer that let Fadnavis be CM, I want to be deputy CM. But at the same point, if that is not working out, what will be his next plan of action? And also importantly,
Mustafa, is there a possibility that Sharad Pawar will personally intervene and actually personally reach out to Eknath Shinde?
Well, that doesn't seem like a case, because it is highly doubtable that Sharad Pawar will have an influence on Eknath Shinde. Remember the words which Eknath Shinde is using since yesterday, and his tweet which had happened. The tweet mentions about Hindutva, and that is more importantly saying that they don't want to be in government with NCP and Congress. And Eknath Shinde is saying that he does not want anything for himself. The MLAs of Shiv Sena are saying that if they remain with this government, then they'll lose out on vote bank. So that is something which Eknath Shinde is pointing out, and hence he has gone back. So clearly Eknath Shinde must have decided his future in the Shiv Sena and has taken this step. From now, it is highly unlikely that Eknath Shinde will go back on his stand. What will it boil down to is the numbers game, whether Uddhav Thackeray, using his influence on his party cadres, can get few more MLAs so that he can be in the government. Back to you.
Okay, Mustafa, stay on with me. Eknath Shinde claims that he has the support of 40 MLAs right now. He's banking on these men and women for his rebellion. But this is a photo op that was taken at the resort in Surat yesterday. And we've counted the number of MLAs that Eknath Shinde has with him. You look at these particular images, in all, there are 35 MLAs with Eknath Shinde, at least going by this particular photo op. So these 35 MLAs who you see here on your screens have moved from Surat. They're currently in Guwahati staying with Eknath Shinde. Shinde has made all of them sign a pledge saying we stand by Eknath Shinde, we stand by our step. Now let's take you through the numbers. Considering these 35 MLAs are with Eknath Shinde, what does that mean as far as the number game in Maharashtra is concerned? The total strength in the Maharashtra Assembly is at 285. With 35 rebels, going by those images that we just showed you, these rebels standing with Eknath Shinde, it brings down the Shiv Sena's number drastically. It comes down to 29. Let's assume that these rebels, along with Shinde, will join hands with the BJP. That means a huge boost for the numbers of the BJP at 148. The NCP and the Congress so far have maintained that not a single MLA from their camps have rebels. So their numbers stay the same. But the problem is that the three of them together, Shiv Sena, NCP and the Congress, as the Mahavikas Aghadi, if in fact these rebels join hands with the BJP, they don't stand a chance. It means that the BJP has the numbers in their favor at this point. Shinde, of course, claims that it's not 35. It's 40. And that's an important point to highlight here because he needs 36 plus to ensure he is not disqualified from the House. 2/3 of the strength of the House is what he requires. So this is how the numbers look with 35 rebels right now. But there are multiple reports suggesting that there could be more MLAs from the Shiv Sena, independents as well as those from smaller parties joining hands with Eknath Shinde. That will spell more trouble for the Mahavikas Aghadi. This is how the numbers are stacked up right now. I want to take us back across to Paulami Saha. She's reporting from outside Radisson Blu in Guwahati. Huge security deployment there in Guwahati outside the hotel. Nobody being allowed in, nobody being allowed out. And there's been a lot of speculation, Paulami, about exactly what the BJP's role is on this. Of course, the Shiv Sena has made it very clear that they believe this is the result of Operation Kamla. But what's also added fuel to the political fire is the likes of Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma visiting Radisson Blu, where you are, just an hour before the rebel MLAs made it there.
Well, Akshata, absolutely no doubt about the fact that the BJP is, involved in this entire rebellion that you're witnessing as far as the Mahavikas Aghadi is concerned. For these MLAs to move from Surat to Guwahati, which is a BJP-ruled state. This is the state where the BJP knows everything that's happening, and the BJP, it happens under the BJP's watch. So it's not possible that the BJP is not involved in this. Even if we, did not have that information about the Assam Chief Minister having visited this hotel at about 5:30 a.m. this morning before the camp arrived from Surat, we do know that the BJP is definitely involved in, of course, keeping this flock together. Yesterday itself, for instance, just a small example, when the buses moved out of Surat from the hotel to go to Surat airport, Mohit Kamboj, BJP leader from Mumbai, who was in fact one of those leaders who, gained some sort of notoriety because of the back and forth spat that he engaged in with Nawab Malik during the Aryan Khan case. Mohit Kamboj was on that bus. Many Maharashtra number vehicles had gone into the Surat hotel just before the buses were to leave at 2 a.m. and then Mohit Kamboj was spotted on that bus along with the Sena rebels and the independents who were travelling with them. So the BJP cannot deny in any fashion that they're not involved in this. They definitely know what's going on. They definitely have a stake in this. They're stakeholders in this entire process, and this is the BJP's ongoing attempt in order to destabilize the Mahavikas Aghadi government. Now the BJP, of course, Mr. Pawar says that this is the third attempt that the Bharatiya Janata Party is making in the last 2.5 years since this government came to power in November 2019 to destabilize this government, and they will of course foil this attempt as well. But the BJP has been at it, working in smaller ways as well. Of course, there was that very embarrassing swearing-in ceremony where Devendra Fadnavis was sworn in for 3 days as the Chief Minister, and that was a huge setback for the Bharatiya Janata Party. They miscalculated their options at that point of time. But since then, the calculations have been very much more precise, have been very much more, on the book, trying to put every little dot together, join every little dot together. So they're working very, meticulously on this particular plan. And what happened during the Rajya Sabha election, where the BJP managed to defeat BJP's candidate, the third candidate in the Rajya Sabha elections, managed to defeat the Sena's second candidate in the election, despite not having the strength and numbers, was the first blow that they dealt to the Mahavikas Aghadi government. And then subsequently, subsequently the BJP having all of its 5 candidates elected in the MLC elections very recently, when the Sena again was defeated, the Mahavikas Aghadi was defeated, because at the end of the day, while a Congress candidate may have lost in that MLC election, one of the 2 Congress candidates, it was the Sena's MLAs that had defected. It was very clear in the number game, as you looked at the numbers on paper, that the Sena was expecting a strength of 64 and they got a strength of 52. So 12 of the MLAs had clearly defected to the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Very true. And, Paulami, as we track all that's playing out right now in Guwahati as well as in Maharashtra, there are a series of meetings that are underway. And I want to bring in Mustafa Sheikh also on this, who's reporting live from Sharad Pawar's residence. Any dent to the Shiv Sena will automatically translate to a dent for the NCP and the Congress. Paulami made a mention of what happened last time around, which turned out to be hugely embarrassing for the BJP. The architect of that embarrassment for the BJP was NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar. The NCP right now is maintaining, Mustafa, that their flock remains together, that not a single MLA within their party has rebelled.
Well, yes, and also importantly, what they are strategizing about is that whether without these MLAs who are with Eknath Shinde, can MVS can still be in government. That is something which the Mahavikas Aghadi, especially Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray, are looking at. Hence, they have started to reach out to the independent MLAs and the small parties. What they are believing is that these independent MLAs and small parties may have cross-voted during the council elections and the Rajya Sabha elections, but when it comes to confidence motion, they will not do so, and maybe the government in power can offer more to them, and hence they will vote in favor of MVA. That is something which the MVA camp, Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray, are basically trying to work out at this time. And also from the Shiv Sena camp, the attempts are being made to get more MLAs from Eknath Shinde's camp in Guwahati, and also to make sure that no more MLAs switch sides. This is something which will be crucial in the next few days, because only then we'll have to wait and see what happens, because it looks like Eknath Shinde will be the one who will take next step in the direction of making this government collapse. We'll have to wait and see what happens next. Back to you.
How does he go about it is the question, because Eknath Shinde so far has said very clearly that he's got no role in ditching the Shiv Sena. He says, I'm still very much a part of the Shiv Sena. I only want to carry forward Balasaheb Thackeray's Hindutva ideology. And crucial to his plans are the 35 MLAs that you see on your screens there. But there's drama that's playing out not just in Maharashtra. This political crisis has spread to other states as well. And let's break that down for you. Uddhav Thackeray is, of course, based in Mumbai. He's ensured his closest associates, the likes of Sanjay Raut, who was supposed to be in Delhi, cancelled his visit to stay put in Mumbai to re-strategize and figure out what needs to be done. Now, it's in Surat that Eknath Shinde moved. He disappeared, went out of action really as far as the Shiv Sena was concerned, and along with his rebels moved to Surat. In a matter of 24 hours, he's moved now to Guwahati. This happened early this morning at about 3:20 is when they took a flight out of Gujarat. Gujarat and Assam, both BJP-ruled states, and the leadership of the Bharatiya Janata Party in Delhi is also going to be tracking this very, very closely, hoping that this plays out to their advantage. So the political crisis and the rumble that we're seeing in Maharashtra, not limited to the state, it's spread to Guwahati, it's spread to Surat at one point, and to Delhi as well. And we're tracking all the updates that come in from every single part of the country, from Guwahati, from Mumbai, as well as from the national capital, from Delhi. So it'll be interesting to see how things really play out in Guwahati as well, because that's where it's being said that more MLAs, right now there are 35 of them is what we're hearing, that more MLAs could actually make their way to, in fact, Guwahati to be part of the Eknath Shinde camp. Paulami, as far as Eknath Shinde is concerned, what exactly is his strategy here? You know, there were some reports that suggested that he was all set to shoot off a letter to the governor because he believes that he has the support of 40 MLAs. That will really be the clincher, isn't it? If he's got 35, that's not good enough. He needs 36 plus.
Well, absolutely. Eknath Shinde has to calculate this very carefully because he's taken a huge gamble as far as this defection is concerned. Already the Shiv Sena has acted against him and removed him as the leader of the legislative party of the Shiv Sena in the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. So the Sena is already acting against him. While, of course, you know, it's a carrot and stick approach. While they've done this, they've also reached out to him. Uddhav Thackeray has spoken to him over the phone as well. And, of course, emissaries have been sent to Surat, where a conversation lasted about 2 hours as well. So they're trying to, of course, see if, you know, the Shinde camp can be broken in some way. Sanjay Raut, of course, tweeting and saying that one of their MLAs has been kidnapped by the BJP, and he, in fact, was taken away on Monday night to Surat and has been forced to stay there. And eventually, we don't know if that MLA is part of the camp, which is at Guwahati at the moment. So clearly, if this stretches on for longer, Shinde also faces the challenge and the task of keeping his flock together, because they could possibly get restless. They could possibly start wondering as to what is happening. Is this gambit of ours going to be successful or not? So clearly he is at the moment in a meeting, we're told, with all the MLAs that are present inside Radisson Blu Hotel, and they're having a conversation and a meeting in order to discuss what their future course of action is. At the moment, of course, as we've reported, Governor Bhagat Singh Koshari is in a hospital because he is, of course, suffering from COVID. So he is in hospital. Could the Governor of Goa be given additional charge as well? What happens in that scenario? Obviously, he has to get his numbers in place before, of course, he tries to pull off some sort of a coup or a stunt on the Mahavikas Aghadi. At the moment, of course, like I said, the Mahavikas Aghadi government is also not sitting laying back in Mumbai. They're constantly in touch with the Sena MLAs over here, trying to break the ranks over here inside the hotel. So clearly, there is a huge challenge before Eknath Shinde. What his options are going to be, it's going to be very interesting to see, because at the moment, like I said, the governor is, of course, in hospital at the moment getting treated for COVID-19 and for the symptoms that he's shown. And so what exactly will Shinde do? How long will they be able to pull this off for? That is going to be extremely crucial, Akshita.
There's also the question, Paulami, of the 40 MLAs claim that Shinde has made. In the Surat resort, there were clearly 35 MLAs. That's clear from the photo op also that was put out. 35 MLAs standing together, who we're going to presume moved from Surat to Guwahati. Where did these additional 5 MLAs come from? If they are Shiv Sena MLAs moving from Mumbai, how is that happening? Because we're being told that Uddhav Thackeray has packed off his MLAs. They're staying at a 5-star hotel in Mumbai as well. And there's been information coming in that the likes of Yogesh Kadam, one of those Shiv Sena MLAs who's likely to join the Eknath Shinde camp. Does that mean that Uddhav Thackeray doesn't have his flock together, that there are only a handful of MLAs who he's managed to gather at that hotel in Mumbai?
Remember, Akshita, we don't have a clear number as to how many MLAs of the Shiv Sena are inside St. Regis Hotel in Worli right now. The number hasn't been shared and nobody has counted how many MLAs are currently inside that hotel where Uddhav loyalists, so to say, are camping at the moment. So if there are more over here, like I said, from our sources, when we learned last night that 33 plus 2 are moving from Surat to Guwahati, we were also told that the number of 33, which is the Shiv Sena camp, rebel camp, is likely to go up to 36, and the number of 2 is likely to have an additional 7 added to it as well. So the total could be 9. Now, if that happens, obviously, it's a huge strength and a huge boost for Eknath Shinde and the rebellion that he has, in fact, started against the Mahavikas Aghadi and specifically against Uddhav Thackeray. But if that number doesn't turn out to be true, obviously, we'll have to see what exactly his options are. But that is what has been speculated, and that is what is being expected by the camp that is over here, that number of 33 Sena will go up to 36 and the number of 2 independents will go up to 9. So 2 plus 7. So if that is indeed happening and there are other MLAs that have joined them over here, because we were told specifically 33 plus 2 coming from Surat to Guwahati. If there are others who've reached here, and that's how Eknath Shinde is claiming plus 5, 30 plus, 35 plus 5, 40, then that's going to be extremely interesting. It changes the game altogether because he's in a very comfortable position. Again, we'll have to see how many of those are Sena and how many are the independent, because as a Sena rebel camp, for them to be able to successfully defect without, of course, attracting the anti-defection law, they'll have to stand at the figure of 37, Akshita.
Very true. Paulami, stay on with us, because even as we're seeing all of these dramatic political developments happening, the Shiv Sena is now for the first time actually taking on Eknath Shinde. So far, there have been very soft statements that have come in from the Shiv Sena on this issue. You see on your screens the posters that have been put up. These are outside Sanjay Raut's residence, and they're taunting Eknath Shinde. It shows an angry Sanjay Raut's picture, and it takes a jibe at Shinde, essentially saying, our reign is everlasting, your rule will last for only 4 days. That's what the poster reads there. It's been put out outside Sanjay Raut's residence. This is emerging at a time when, of course, we're seeing all of this drama unfolding in the state. Shinde claiming that he has the support of 40 MLAs with him. Mustafa Sheikh is live with us from Mumbai. Mustafa, this is perhaps the first attack that we're seeing from the Shiv Sena against Eknath Shinde. Sanjay Raut, while speaking to the media, wasn't harsh at Shinde at all, pinned the blame on the BJP. In the Samna, in the editorial also, they've pinned the blame on the BJP. They've so far refrained from taking on Shinde, perhaps in the hope that he'll join back the party, that they have the chance of still convincing him. So these posters amid that is also important.
Well, yes, because the split is wide open now in Shiv Sena. They are trying to hide it as soon as till the time it's possible. But as the time is passing by, if Eknath Shinde is not showing any signs of coming back, and if there are more MLAs from the Shiv Sena who are joining that fold, it will be a very difficult job for Uddhav Thackeray. There will be two options in front of him, whether to go with this government and then lose the government in majority and then go for re-election, or the second, that will also split his party in half. And the second is to listen to Eknath Shinde, go with the BJP which he was criticizing for last 2.5 years, and the entire politics of Shiv Sena was against the BJP. So it's clearly Eknath Shinde has put Uddhav Thackeray in a big spot. It is in history a very deciding moment for the Shiv Sena. Shiv Sena has seen a lot of scene.
तो थोड़ा सा काम स्लो चल रहा है उनका. सबसे पहले राज्यपाल गव्हर्नर साहब ठीक होणे चाहिए. राज्यपालांना आधी बरं वाटू द्या, मग बघू ना कोणाकडे किती आमदार आहेत काय. एक तुम्हाला मी सांगतो, उगाच तुम्ही फार उतावीळ होऊ नका. आम्हाला पूर्ण खात्री आहे, विश्वास आहे, एकनाथ शिंदे आणि आमचे सगळे लोक परत स्वगृही परत येतील.
पण एकनाथ शिंदेसोबत सध्याचा एक फोटो व्हायरल होतो, ज्याच्यामध्ये बच्चू कडून सकट एक
असू द्या, किती असू द्या, हा आमच्या घरातला विषय आहे. हे सगळे लोक परत आपल्या घरामध्ये येतील. एकनाथ शिंदे असतील किंवा इतर सगळे आमचे सहकारी असतील, त्यांच्याने आमचा चांगला व्यवस्थित संवाद सुरू आहे.
राष्ट्रवादी आणि काँग्रेसवर आम्ही नाराज आहोत असं आमदारांचं म्हणणं आहे.
मला असं माहिती नाही. त्यांच्याबरोबर आपण सरकारमध्ये आहोत.
Eknath Shinde and other MLAs who are with him, the communication with him, with Eknath Shinde is on. Eknath Shinde is saying that communication with Eknath Shinde is on.
आज सकाळीच माझं एकनाथ शिंदेशी बोलणं आहे.
सर, ये बात सच है क्या कि शरद पवार सर एक कई महीने पहले बोला था
काय बोलणार? बघा, एकनाथ शिंदे यांच्याशी पक्षामध्ये संवाद सुरू आहे. एकनाथ शिंदे हे शिवसैनिक आहेत.
Communication with Eknath Shinde is on. That's what Sanjay Raut is saying.
आतापर्यंत त्यांनी सातत्यानं शिवसेनेचंच कार्य केलेलं आहे. त्यांच्याविषयी आमच्या मनामध्ये कायम सद्भावना एकमेकांविषयी.
Eknath Shinde has worked in Shiv Sena for a long time, from Bala Thackeray till present situation.
आज सकाळी त्यांच्यानी माझं बोलणं झालं आणि त्या संदर्भात मी
The communication with Eknath Shinde is on is what the message which Sanjay Raut is trying to send out.
असं समजू नका, जर कोणाला असं आनंदाचं भरतावा असेल की शिवसेनेमध्ये काही होत आहे, तसं नाही आहे. जे आहेत बाहेर हे सगळे शिवसैनिक आहेत आणि त्या सगळ्यांना परत शिवसेनेबरोबरच राहायचं आहे. काही गैरसमज असतात.
Sanjay Raut trying to play it down, the current situation. He is saying that there is no split in Shiv Sena. Attempts are on to bring back all the MLAs from Guwahati back to the Shiv Sena fold.
जनता पक्षाला असं वाटत आहे या निमित्तानं ठाकरे सरकार हे पट्ट्याच्या बंगल्याप्रमाणे वगैरे कोसळेल, तर शिवसेनेमध्ये राखेतून जन्म घेण्याची ताकद आहे. आणि शिवसेनेनं अनेकदा राखेतून जन्म घेऊन पुन्हा गरुड
said Sanjay Raut is saying that Shiv Sena has been at its low, but from the lower point it has come to power. So even if it's mixed in sand, Shiv Sena will come back on its foot again. That's what Sanjay Raut is saying, that Shiv Sena can make comeback.
एकनाथ शिंदे जी हमारे बहुत पुराने साथी हैं, हमारे मित्र हैं. सालों साल से हम एक दूसरे के साथ कंधा से कंधा लगाकर काम कर रहे हैं। उनको भी इतना आसान नहीं है पार्टी छोड़ना और हमको भी इतना आसान नहीं है उनको छोड़ना। हमारा डायलॉग चल रहा है। आज सुबह भी मेरी एकनाथ शिंदे जी से बातचीत चल रही थी। आज सुबह हम दोनों ने 1 घंटा बातचीत की है। यहाँ से जो बातचीत हुई उस बारे में मैंने पार्टी चीफ को बताया है। कोई बात छुप कर नहीं रहती है। वापस एक बार बात हो जाएगी। उनके साथ जो विधायक है उनसे भी हमारी बातचीत चल रही है। सभी शिवसेना में है, शिवसेना में रहेंगे और उद्धव ठाकरे जी का नेतृत्व
48 तासामध्ये सगळ्या आमदारांना मुंबईत येण्यासाठी कधी लागेल असं भाजपकडून सांगण्यात येते। सगळ्या आमदारांना तसं मेसेज।
मला भारतीय जनता पक्षाचं काही बोलायचं नाही। मैं माझ्या पक्षाविषयी बोलतो।
राउत साहब, क्या ये बात सही है कि कुछ महीने पहले
नहीं, आपके पास जो इन्फॉर्मेशन है वो गलत है।
अच्छा सर, एक सवाल ये कहा जा रहा है कि स्थानीय म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन के चुनाव के लिए एकनाथ शिंदे जी ने कहा था कि उनकी अध्यक्षता में चुनाव लड़े जाएं, लेकिन आपका ये मत था एमवीएन एक साथ लड़ना चाहिए और आपने उन्हें
ये गलत जानकारी है। हमेशा थाने म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन हो, कल्याण डोंबिवली म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन हो, वो एकनाथ शिंदे जी जो कहेंगे उस हिसाब से चुनाव लड़ा जाता है, क्योंकि वहाँ के नेता है, पार्टी ने उनको वहाँ नियुक्त किया है।
आपके और उनके बीच में मनमुटाव, आपके और शिंदे जी के बीच में कुछ मनमुटाव कहा?
आपल्यावर काही नाराजी आहे वगैरे?
कोणावर? माझी आत्ता चर्चा झाली त्यांच्याशी। एकनाथ शिंदे माझे जीवाभावाचे मित्र आहेत, सहकारी आहेत। आमच्यामध्ये कधीही पक्षात कोणाबरोबरच त्यांची नाराजी नाहीये, ना उद्धव ठाकरेंवर ना आमच्यावर। आज आम्ही सकाळपासून चर्चा करतो आहोत, बोलतो आहोत आणि अत्यंत चांगल्या पद्धतीने आम्ही एकमेकांशी बोलतो आहोत।
तर नेमकी काय आपलं बोलणं झालं किंवा त्यांच्या काय मागण्या आहे असं त्यांनी काही सांगितलं का?
त्यांच्या काही मागण्या नाहीये।
नेमका रोष कोणावरती आहे?
त्यांच्या अजिबात मागण्या नाहीये। त्यांनी कोणताही अटी शर्ती या क्षणी ठेवलेला नाहीये। ते शिवसैनिक आहेत आणि त्यांच्या बोलण्यातून हे दिसतंय की ते शिवसेनेतच राहतील आणि शिवसैनिक म्हणूनच संपूर्ण आयुष्य काढतील।
सर, आधी सुनत आहे नंतर गुवाहाटी अशा
उनके बीच कोई नाराजगी और आपकी जब फोन पे बात की तो उन्होंने क्या कुछ मांग?
बहुत ही अच्छे माहौल में हमारी बातचीत कल से चल रही है। ऐसा नहीं कि आज मैं बोल रहा हूँ, कल भी मेरी बात हो गई, आज सुबह बात हो गई और लंबी बातचीत हुई। ना हमारे मन में कोई ऐसी खटास है ना उनके मन में कोई खटास है। हम लगभग 35-40 साल से एक दूसरे के साथ काम कर रहे हैं। वो सिर्फ हमारे साथी नहीं है, वो हमारे बहुत ही अजीज दोस्त है, मित्र है। हम एक दूसरे के साथ बहुत सी बातें हमेशा शेयर करते हैं। उद्धव ठाकरे जी और एकनाथ शिंदे जी में भी वही रिश्ता है। तो जो बातें सामने आ रही है या पब्लिश हो रही है उसमें तथ्य नहीं है। कोई ज़्यादा ही बड़ा चढ़ाकर बातें सामने आ रही है। ठीक है, कुछ बातें जरूर हो सकती है, उसमें से कोई ना कोई हल निकल जाएगा।
संजय राऊतजी, राजकीय वर्तुळामध्ये एक चर्चा आहे की कुठेतरी शिवसेनेला महाविकास आघाडीतनं बाहेर पडायचं होतं आणि त्या बंडासाठी म्हणून एकनाथ शिंदेंनी हे पाऊल उचललं आणि त्यांच्या
शिवसेना असे पाठीमागून कारवाया किंवा वार करत नाही। शिवसेना जे असेल ती समोरून एखादी गोष्ट करते। आज सकाळी सुद्धा माननीय शरद पवार साहेबांशी माझी चर्चा झाली, कालही झाली। आज दिवसभरामध्ये माननीय शरद पवार आणि उद्धव ठाकरे सुद्धा भेटतील आणि काँग्रेस आणि राष्ट्रवादी काँग्रेस पूर्णपणे उद्धव ठाकरे यांच्या पाठीशी उभी आहे। आम्ही संघर्ष करू। शिवसेना हा संघर्ष करणारा पक्ष है, लड़नारा पक्ष है। हम संघर्ष करते रहेंगे। ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा? सत्ता जाएगी और क्या होता है? ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगी? महाराष्ट्र की सत्ता जाएगी, सत्ता वापस आ सकती है।
सर,
लेकिन प्रतिष्ठा होती है पार्टी की, वो सबसे ऊपर है।
सर, जर त्यांच्या कोणत्याही मागण्या नाही आहेत, जर त्यांचे कोणतेही रोष नाहीत, मग ते गुवाहाटीला एवढ्या सगळ्या आमदारांबरोबर का
जाऊ द्या। गुवाहाटीमध्ये एक फार जंगल छान आहे, काजीरंगा। आमदार फिरतील, पर्यटन करतील। गुजरातला झालंय, अजून कुठे जातील? करू द्या ना। आमदारांनी फिरलं पाहिजे, आमदारांनी देश पाहिला पाहिजे आणि या देश पाहिल्यामुळे त्यांना देशाची ओळख होते। त्याच्यामुळे आमच्या त्यांना शुभेच्छा।
सर, एकनाथ शिंदे यांनी काल असं म्हटलं होतं की आपल्याबरोबर जी तुमच्या त्यांची जी चर्चा होते ती वेगळी असते आणि तुम्ही माध्यमांसमोर वेगळं बोलता, असं त्यांनी तक्रार।
आता मी काय बोललो माध्यमांसमोर? आणि या देश पाहिल्यामुळे त्यांना देशाची ओळख होते। त्याच्यामुळे आमच्या त्यांना शुभेच्छा।
सर, एकनाथ शिंदे यांनी काल असं म्हटलं होतं की आपल्याबरोबर जी तुमच्या त्यांची जी चर्चा होते ती वेगळी असते आणि तुम्ही माध्यमांसमोर वेगळं बोलता, असं त्यांनी तक्रार।
आता मी काय बोललो माध्यमांसमोर? सोडून द्या। प्रत्येकजण आपापल्या पद्धतीनं काम करत असतो। ते थोडे लांब आहेत आमच्यापासून, ते जवळ येतील तेव्हा आम्ही नक्की चर्चा करू.
कधीपर्यंत जवळ येतील सर?
लवकरच येतील.
सर एक सबस्टॅन्स
राउत सर, एक मिनट सर. राउत सर.
So Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut, they're speaking out saying and playing down the entire rebellion, saying, I've spoken to Eknath Shinde. I spoke to him this morning for 1 hour. We will survive this rebellion. Eknath Shinde isn't going anywhere. He will remain a Shiv Sainik. So big statement by Sanjay Raut, not just playing down the rebellion. He's saying that Eknath Shinde remains one of us. He's not leaving the Shiv Sena. I've had a conversation with him for 1 hour this morning. So they are maintaining that there's absolutely nothing to worry about. The reality is, however, that Eknath Shinde has been sent off packing from Surat to Guwahati, another BJP ruled state, where he sits right now this morning, making a statement saying, I have 40 MLAs with me. So while Sanjay Raut is making this claim that, this rebellion is no big deal, Eknath Shinde just this morning at the Guwahati airport said, I have 40 MLAs with me. Let's take this across to Ritvik. He's joining us live from outside Uddhav Thackeray's residence. Ritvik, the Shiv Sena is playing this down. Can they afford to do that? Sanjay Raut is saying that Eknath Shinde will remain a Shiv Sainik. There's nothing to worry about. I had a conversation with him this morning. Eknath Shinde is saying, I have 40 MLAs with me.
We can see Shiv Sena is still showing confidence that they can bring back the MLAs home and Eknath Shinde also. But there are a series of meetings which will happen today at CM residence. Maharashtra State Cabinet is also scheduled at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. It is remain to be seen what all things unfold in the day later, because the Congress in charge, Kamal Nath, is going to meet CM Uddhav Thackeray today at 12:30. Also Sharad Pawar is having meetings with his senior most leaders and ministers. He is also going to meet Kamal Nath at 1:30. Still, there's no meeting as such between Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray. It is remain to be seen when these two prominent leaders are going to meet and going to discuss the strategy of how they are going ahead. But meanwhile, the news which is coming in that Governor Bhagat Singh Koshari has found COVID positive and he'll be not available. He has been admitted in Reliance Hospital in Mumbai. So how the things unfold after this series of meetings is
That's something that Sanjay Raut also mentioned. But this is the big update that's come in. Sanjay Raut completely playing down the rebellion. A conciliatory note that he's striking here is saying that Eknath Shinde isn't going anywhere. He's going to remain a Shiv Sainik, but ignoring the fact that Eknath Shinde himself this morning told India Today 1 that yes, I'm part of the Shiv Sena. I'm not leaving the party, but I want to carry forward Balasaheb Thackeray's legacy Hindutva ideology, which means he's directly countering what Uddhav Thackeray is doing. Is that something that the Shiv Sena is okay with? Secondly, he's saying that I have 40 MLAs with me. So while Sanjay Raut is painting this pretty rosy picture of everything being okay, that they're in conversation, that he remains a Shiv Sainik, the reality is that Eknath Shinde is going ahead with this all-out rebellion. And questions will be asked about whether Shiv Sena is yet to wake up and smell the coffee here. Take a look at exactly what Shinde said, and then we'll play out for you some of the highlights of what Sanjay Raut has said.
सेना के 40 MLAs अभी यहाँ मौजूद है और सभी लोग जो है हम बाला साहब ठाकरे जी का जो हिंदुत्व है इस और उनकी जो भूमिका है उसको हम लोग आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं। सेना के 40 MLAs अभी यहाँ मौजूद है और सभी लोग जो है हम बाला साहब ठाकरे जी का जो हिंदुत्व है इस और उनकी जो भूमिका है उसको हम लोग आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं।
एकनाथ शिंदे जी हमारे बहुत पुराने साथी हैं, हमारे मित्र हैं। सालों साल से हम एक दूसरे के साथ कंधा से कंधा लगाकर काम कर रहे हैं। उनको भी इतना आसान नहीं है पार्टी छोड़ना और हमको भी इतना आसान नहीं है उनको छोड़ना। हमारा डायलॉग चल रहा है। आज सुबह भी मेरी एकनाथ शिंदे जी से बातचीत चल रही थी। आज सुबह हम दोनों ने 1 घंटा बातचीत की है। यहाँ से जो बातचीत हुई उस बारे में मैंने पार्टी चीफ को बताया है। कोई बात छुप कर नहीं रहती है। वापस एक बार बात हो जाएगी। उनके साथ जो विधायक है उनसे भी हमारी बातचीत चल रही है। सभी शिवसेना में है, शिवसेना में रहेंगे और उद्धव ठाकरे जी का नेतृत्व।
Let me take this back across to Paulami. Paulami, you just heard what Sanjay Raut said. Very interesting how no matter what the Shiv Sena is refraining from criticizing Eknath Shinde. He may have betrayed Uddhav Thackeray. He may have taken off, camped off with their MLAs, but they're still being extremely soft towards Eknath Shinde, perhaps in the hope that he'll return. But is that, too far-fetched a thought? Because Eknath Shinde here, just hours ago, was talking about having 40 MLAs with him.
Well, Akshita, if you look at what the Shiv Sena is doing, it's like sending out mixed signals. It's possibly on the basis of their own internal analysis of how this is playing out. So sometimes it's blow hot, sometimes it's blow cold. While you have a poster outside Mr. Sanjay Raut's residence which says that your coup, your stunt is going to last only 4 days and your kingship, so to say, is only inherited. That poster taunting and mocking Eknath Shinde right outside Mr. Sanjay Raut's residence, and then Mr. Raut striking this conciliatory note. What was very important and striking in what he said, Akshita, it's in the Marathi section of his soundbite, is where he said that we may lose majority, but we will come back as a party. Now, what does that suggest? Is the Shiv Sena slowly, possibly reconciling to the fact that maybe, just maybe, this rebellion is going to be a successful one at that and is going to bring us down to our knees? We don't know. They're working on every aspect. Like we heard Mr. Sanjay Raut say, he spoke to Mr. Eknath Shinde for 1 hour over the phone. He's communicated that to Uddhav Thackeray as well. They're speaking to all the rebel MLAs. He says the Shiv Sena is like a phoenix which will rise from the ashes. And as far as Mr. Eknath Shinde is concerned, saying, there was never any hurdle in his decision-making process. We know the kind of clout and influence he enjoys in Thane, Dombivli, in Kalyan, and hence those elections, those municipality elections will be fought under his leadership. So, holding out that olive branch for Eknath Shinde, but then the signals are mixed. There's the poster outside your residence. You jump and remove him as the leader of your legislature party in the Legislative Assembly. What are these signals that you're sending out at the same time, Akshita? That's the question.
Very, very true. And, Sanjay Raut at this point is maintaining that we'll do whatever it takes to reach out to Eknath Shinde. So much so that he's actually gone ahead and made comments saying, zyada se zyada kya hoga, satta chale jayegi. That is the comment that he's made, saying what can happen at the maximum? The government will go. But he's maintaining that Eknath Shinde remains a part of the Shiv Sena. Shinde also has confirmed that. But the reality is, Paulami, Eknath Shinde is questioning Uddhav Thackeray. In the comment that he made to India Today, Eknath Shinde's message was this, saying, I'm very much a Shiv Sainik. I'm following Balasaheb Thakeray's Hindutva ideology. And that was a direct jibe, a direct taunt at Uddhav Thackeray. Is the Shiv Sena okay with that?
That is the stance that he maintained yesterday as well when he tweeted. The one tweet that he's put out since, of course, this rebellion, when he shifted with those rebel MLAs to Surat initially, he tweeted out and he said that he's a Kattar Shiv Sainik. He's a hardcore Shiv Sainik and he follows the Hindutva ideals and teachings of Balasaheb Thackeray, and there is going to be never any compromise with that for the sake of power. So clearly stating over there that he's not going to stop being a Shiv Sainik at any point. He's not jumping ship at any point. But if push comes to shove, if at all, that's the underlying hint that he's laying down, is that if at all there is the possibility that Uddhav Thackeray and the Shiv Sena with Uddhav Thackeray doesn't agree to going back with the BJP in alliance with the Bharatiya Janata Party, then of course Eknath Shinde could defect with his lot to form another group of the Shiv Sena. So Shiv Sena stays, but he forms another group, and that could lend support to a BJP-led government. So that is what is possibly being worked out at the moment. But yes, he has dug his heels in, Eknath Shinde, and he's made it absolutely clear. While of course Mr. Sanjay Raut over there said that Eknath Shinde doesn't have any demands, he's not laid down any conditions, he's a true blue Shiv Sainik and he'll stay one. But the fact is, he has spoken to Uddhav Thackeray. He has categorically stated that you need to go back with the NDA, and that is where our ideology truly matches. He has expressed his reservations about working with the NCP, which he believes wields much more power in the Mahavikas Aghadi government in Maharashtra as opposed to the Shiv Sena, and is calling the shots. So he has expressed his reservations, and he is very clear about the fact that if the Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray was to stay in the Mahavikas Aghadi in alliance with the NCP and the Congress, then Eknath Shinde is going to choose a path of his own.
You know, on one hand, you have Eknath Shinde, who's so resolute, stubborn in his stand, knows exactly what he wants, is very clear with what his demands are. On the other hand, you have the Shiv Sena making bizarre comments, almost conceding defeat, saying zyada se zyada kya hoga, satta chali jayegi. Let's play out that bit for you of what Sanjay Raut has said. Not just does he refer to Eknath Shinde as his dost, his mitra, who he says I've known for so many years, we're in touch with him, etc. He says what can happen at the max? The government will go.
शिवसेना हा संघर्ष करणारा पक्ष है, लड़नारा पक्ष है. हम संघर्ष करते रहेंगे. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा? सत्ता जाएगी. और क्या होता है? ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगी? महाराष्ट्र की सत्ता जाएगी, सत्ता वापस आ सकती है. सर, लेकिन प्रतिष्ठा होती है पार्टी की, वो सबसे ऊपर है. शिवसेना हा संघर्ष करणारा पक्ष है, लड़नारा पक्ष है. हम संघर्ष करते रहेंगे. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा? सत्ता जाएगी. और क्या होता है? ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगी? महाराष्ट्र की सत्ता जाएगी, सत्ता वापस आ सकती है. सर, लेकिन प्रतिष्ठा होती है पार्टी की, वो सबसे ऊपर है. शिवसेना हा संघर्ष करणारा पक्ष है, लड़नारा पक्ष है. हम संघर्ष करते रहेंगे. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा? सत्ता जाएगी. और क्या होता है? ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगी? महाराष्ट्र की सत्ता जाएगी, सत्ता वापस आ सकती है. सर, लेकिन प्रतिष्ठा होती है पार्टी की, वो सबसे ऊपर है.
Is this the Shiv Sena then conceding? Sanjay Raut says that what's supreme is party pride, and that's all that should matter, not the government. And one will then ask the question, I'd like to bring Ritwik on this, whether allies like the NCP and Congress will agree with that statement, Ritwik, saying what can happen at the max? The government will go. Will the NCP and Congress agree with that kind of a sentiment?
Allies Congress and NCP are busy keeping tab and on their own MLAs. We can see the Prabhari, the in charge of Congress, has landed in Mumbai. Kamal Nath is going to have a meeting with Congress MLAs and leaders at the senior minister's house today. At 11 a.m. they'll be meeting, and they are constantly claiming that all the MLAs of Congress are in touch, and they are in contact. They are talking to us. They are going nowhere. They are just making sure that their ship is.
Stay with me. Arvind Sawant of the Shiv Sena is joining me on this broadcast. Mr. Sawant, is the Shiv Sena conceding defeat? Are you giving in to Eknath Shinde when Mr. Sanjay Raut says zyada se zyada satta chali jayegi?
So what? That's what he rightly said. What worse can happen? Worse can happen that we may lose the power.
So you're okay with that, sir?
Power is not for us. We don't bother about that. The bother is we are concerned about the party itself. And the concern for the party is that our own people should not leave the party. Even if they have some resentment, they can come, talk to the chief of the party, let us discuss it, and we'll be. Yesterday our emissary was there, Nadilkar was there, he spoke to him. He spoke to even Uddhav Thackeray, he said he has not left the party. Then why he should roam around if he has not left the party? Then come, talk to the party chief is there right now, and then discuss and resolve the issue.
In which case, Mr. Sawant?
If you want to detract it, then nobody can stop it.
In which case, Mr. Sawant, if the party ideology is supreme, that's what Eknath Shinde is also saying. He's saying that the Hindutva ideology is supreme, and that's why he's saying cut ties with the NCP and Congress. For the sake of the party, is the Shiv Sena willing to do that, sir?
That is what the lame excuse. The excuse is of the ED. How many people are there? We have been summoned by the notices have been served. Just check it and then come to know why they have gone. Ask them. Some of them have gone power, some of them gone anything. I mean, I don't want to say how they have lured them. It's not that it is Hindutva. They know Hindutva, pure Hindutva is with Shiv Sena. It is the same Eknath Shinde who in 2015, 2016, I think, one more time, when the Kalyan Dombili elections were again, he said we should not continue with BJP. I would like to resign. I'll resign from the party.
But sir, he's gone on record.
If I'm not able to deliver, and then we were,
agreed, and there'll be
in
questions
alliance
of
with BJP.
there'll
That
be
is what
questions,
the
sir, about
statement
that. There'll be
Mr.
questions of
Shinde
Mr.
said.
Shinde's U-turn. But my question, Mr. Sawant, is what then? Because Eknath Shinde now has gone on record to state that he's holding up the mantle of Hindutva ideology, and the reality is he's saying 40 MLAs are with him.
But I'm saying it also on record. He has said it on record. Do not join BJP. Should not go with BJP. I would like to resign. They are harassing. And today he's saying the same person is saying that, but who should believe? We are the same. We remain with the party. We were Shiv Sena, we are Shiv Sena, and we will be Shiv Sena. We will continue to be the Shiv Sena. Let the hell come down. We don't bother about it.
But
we will fight and come
again. Is it concerning, Mr. Sawant, for the Shiv Sena that someone, a senior leader like Eknath Shinde, is voicing his opposition right now? Do you believe that, this could be a challenge to Uddhav Thackeray's leadership? Because his comment is about carrying forward the mantle of Bala Saheb Thackeray's Hindutva ideology.
It has happened in the past when Bala Saheb was also there. Some people, in 1977, when the Janata Dal was formed, some of the people were inclined. We should join. That was the wave of the Janata Dal. What has happened, Janata Party? Did it remain? Did it remain? Some of the leaders who wanted to join Janata Party, Bala Saheb did not join. That's all. Bala Saheb supported that time Indira Gandhi and the emergency. So don't forget that. We don't forget. We know we have a power to again come like a phoenix. Like a phoenix bird from the ashes. So we can stand up. Not to worry about that.
Mr. Sawant, finally also...
But we feel that he should come back. Let us discuss whatever the resentments are there and then can be resolved within the party. That can be done. But it cannot be, we should surrender to this. That will not happen with Shiv Sena.
Okay, Mr. Sawant, for the sake of party prestige then, is there a possibility of you giving in to Eknath Shinde's demand of tying up with the BJP? That's a definite no?
Don't you understand the word? We do not want to surrender. That's why we appeal him to come back. Let us discuss. Let the party decide it, not the Eknath Shinde or somebody else should decide about it. It is for the sake of the misuse of the government machineries, government party. See what has happened in Gujarat. You have observed for the last 2 days, 24 hours. Who the entire BJP, entire police department of the Gujarat part. The moment you leave the border of Maharashtra, MH vehicles were not allowed to enter into Gujarat.
All right, Mr. Sawant.
That is the misuse of the machinery.
Okay, Mr.
Why they want to
Sawant.
do it?
All right, so you're saying this is because of the ED action. Thanks, Mr. Sawant, for joining us here on India Today. We're cutting across to Mr. Kamal Nath, who's currently speaking. He's been sent across by the Congress.
So, लेकिन आपको लगता है सर उद्धव
Okay, so that is Congress's Kamal Nath, who's been sent across by the High Command to, in fact, Mumbai to firefight this crisis, to ensure that there is no sort of rebellion that breaks out within the Congress as well. At this point, the Congress maintains that their entire flock is together. There's no problem. There's no crisis within the Congress or the NCP. But on the schedule, also on the agenda for Kamal Nath, is meetings with, in fact, his own party leaders, with the Congress leadership in Mumbai, in Maharashtra, as well as a meeting with Uddhav Thackeray, which will be happening at 12 noon. And then there's a meeting lined up with Sharad Pawar as well. So the Mahavikas Aghadi is trying to get their act together, trying to figure out exactly what their next step is going to be as well. Because the Shiv Sena at this point is doing everything they can to firefight what they're calling a party problem. They're referring to this as a party crisis, and they're saying they'll do what it takes to reach out to Eknath Shinde, but they draw the line at joining hands with the BJP. That's something they're saying will not happen. So at this point, it'll be interesting to see what the NCP and the Congress also do in the face of this all-out crisis, because any problem for the Shiv Sena automatically translates to a crisis for the Congress, automatically translates to a crisis for the NCP as well. Paulami Saha is still with us live from Guwahati with all the updates on this. So Paulami, as Eknath Shinde at this point is very clearly playing hard to get for the Shiv Sena, the Sena also saying they'll do everything they need to reach out to Shinde, except join hands with the BJP. In such a circumstance, it doesn't look possible that there will be any sort of agreement, any sort of middle ground that can be reached.
Akshita, could you please repeat the question? I didn't hear it.
My question to you, Paulami, was with regards to what the Shiv Sena has said. They've said that we're willing to accommodate Eknath Shinde, we're willing to bring him back. Eknath Shinde is adamant that they need to join hands with the BJP. That's where the Sena's drawn the line. So is there a possibility of any middle ground?
Well, it remains to be seen because Eknath Shinde is, like Mr. Sanjay Raut claimed, in conversation with the Shiv Sena at the moment. They're speaking to Eknath Shinde. They're also speaking to the other rebel MLAs who are with him. They're trying to find a middle ground. They spoke to him yesterday. Uddhav Thackeray personally spoke with him for 20 minutes is when Milind Narvekar, one of the emissaries, as well as Ravi Pathak, an MLC, these were the two emissaries sent from Mumbai to Surat, were with him, and they in fact got Mr. Uddhav Thackeray on the line. And they had a conversation for 20 minutes. And in that conversation, again, Eknath Shinde reiterated his condition that the Shiv Sena needs to go back into the NDA fold. Now, whether that is something that the Shiv Sena agrees to remains to be seen. As Mr. Arvind Sawant was in fact saying, at the moment, it is, of course, completely dependent on a dialogue which happens in Mumbai. Eknath Shinde should come back to the dialogue table. Whatever his conditions are, whatever his demands are, he should come back to Mumbai, have a conversation, an open discussion, and only then will any kind of decision be taken. A decision cannot be taken on the basis of a pressure tactic that Eknath Shinde is applying at the moment while he is outside the state, be it in Surat or in Guwahati at the moment. So it remains to be seen if at this point, when both sides have, at least Eknath Shinde has dug his heels in, and while the Shiv Sena seems to be striking some sort of a conciliatory note and tone, we do know that they have taken some action against Eknath Shinde, for instance, by removing him as the legislative party leader. So in that sense, the signal that they sent out is that they are taking action against him. They're cracking down on him. That was yesterday. Today, they're having a 1-hour-long conversation with Eknath Shinde. So clearly, they're softening their stance. They want to ensure that this coup, this attempt at a coup, doesn't, of course, turn out to be successful, because it is looking much more
perhaps also be the result.
At the moment. And
yes, this could also be the result of a lot of pressure on them from their own allies. Paulami, stay on with me. This is the story that we're continuing to track here on India Today. Our non-stop coverage on the other side of a very, very short break continues. Do stay with us.
The men and women who built Indian industry, and the young guns who are shaping tomorrow's India. From storied careers to unicorn dreams, the past meets the future on the Business Today show with Udayan Mukherjee.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
You are watching
la main des aides-soignants. Pourquoi ? Parce que les aides-soignants aujourd'hui, ils sont globalement sous l'eau. Ils ne peuvent plus faire leur métier qui est de soigner. Et donc nous, Emobots, on leur fournit cette information de l'état émotionnel. Ils vont pouvoir mieux comprendre l'évolution de l'émotion de leurs résidents, de leurs patients. Et derrière, on sera aussi capable d'objectiver. C'est-à-dire qu'aujourd'hui, quand on fait un test pour la dépression, c'est un test normé, ponctuel, où on demande à la personne de verbaliser les informations. Et donc ça pose plein de problèmes. Et notamment de difficultés pour les personnes qui ne peuvent pas verbaliser.
You are watching India Today. You are watching India Today.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned into India Today's non-stop coverage of the dramatic political developments playing out in Maharashtra as the Shiv Sena is staring at an all-out rebellion by one of their senior-most leaders. Has the party already conceded defeat? We're going to be getting you details, the latest statement that's come in from the Shiv Sena and much, much more. Here are the headlines first. Maharashtra political pot boiler gets hotter by the minute. Rebels shift base to Guwahati. Shinde claims to have the support of 40 MLAs and wants Uddhav to tie up with the BJP.
सभी लोग जो है हम बाला साहब ठाकरे जी का जो हिंदुत्व है इस और उनकी जो भूमिका है उसको हम लोग आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं.
Aghadi plays down the rebellion. Sena MP Sanjay Raut says that he spoke to rebel Shinde for an hour and says that he will always remain a Shiv Sainik.
शिवसेना हा संघर्ष करणारा पक्ष है, लड़नारा पक्ष है. हम संघर्ष करते रहेंगे. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा? सत्ता जाएगी और क्या होता है? ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगी? महाराष्ट्र की सत्ता जाएगी, सत्ता वापस आ सकती है.
सर
Poster politics brews in Maharashtra. Sena ups the ante, taunts rebel Eknath Shinde in posters saying, "Our reign is everlasting. Your rule will last 4 days." Rebels move to Guwahati. BJP on an overdrive. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma visits rebels resort ahead of their arrival. And the race to Raisina Hill gains momentum. NDA nominates tribal woman Neta Draupadi Murmu for president. She will become India's first tribal president if elected. Non-stop updates pouring in on the Maharashtra political potboiler. Let's round up all that's happened in the last 1 hour. Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut has played down the rebellion and confirmed that he's spoken to Eknath Shinde for an hour this morning. Meanwhile, Eknath Shinde, speaking to the media at the Guwahati airport, said he has the support of 40 MLAs now. That's a game changer by itself. As far as the Congress and NCP are concerned, they're tracking closely all that's happening in their allies' camp. Congress has sent Kamal Nath as its troubleshooter and is going to be holding a series of meetings today. The NCP is also holding their own huddle. Sharad Pawar has met with, in fact, the Maharashtra Home Minister Dilip Valse Patil. He's going to be meeting with Ajit Pawar soon as well. So the NCP and Congress tracking very, very closely all that's playing out. I want to focus also on the big update that's come in as far as the Shiv Sena statement on speaking on having a conversation with Eknath Shinde. Let's focus on that particular point, and I want to take that across to Paulami Saha, who's joining us live from Guwahati. Paulami, we had Sanjay Raut making a comment saying that he's had a conversation with Eknath Shinde. The communication channels are open, but what's very, very clear here is that Eknath Shinde is being very adamant on exactly what he wants. So the Shiv Sena will have to deliver on tying up with the BJP, or there's no way this is going to break.
Oh, absolutely. The Shiv Sena is obviously trying to find some sort of, while of course break the logjam, also find some sort of chinks in the armor. Hence, they're speaking to everyone concerned. They're speaking to the other rebel MLAs as well, and not just Eknath Shinde, because if at all they manage to break the ranks, which are currently, in fact, camped inside the Radisson Hotel in Guwahati behind me, then clearly they have foiled this bid by Eknath Shinde to, in fact, bring down the Mahavikas Aghadi government. But his demand, so to say, the Sena is not willing to concede at the moment, because his demand is such that you have to break ties with the NCP and Congress and go with the NDA and, in fact, go with the Bharatiya Janata Party. That is something that Uddhav Thackeray is not very keen about. Yesterday itself, when Uddhav Thackeray spoke to some MLAs, it is believed that he communicated that how can we go with the Bharatiya Janata Party? They have insulted us, they have humiliated in the past when they treated us as a junior partner, gave us not much, and how can we go back with that party? So Uddhav Thackeray, of course, has made it very clear that it's impossible for the Shiv Sena to go back with the Bharatiya Janata Party.
My apologies for interrupting, but big breaking news that's coming in. Sharad Pawar has spoken to Uddhav Thackeray to essentially review what's happening and find out where they stand as far as the numbers are concerned. And as per reports, Pawar has told his party men not to interfere, that this is an internal matter of Shiv Sena and that the NCP has absolutely nothing to do in this. So in a conversation between Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray, there was a discussion of what this means overall for the alliance, for the Mahavikas Aghadi, and whether they can stay in power despite all of this that's happening. And meanwhile, Sharad Pawar, in the slew of meetings that he's had with his own party men, has said, let Shiv Sena iron this out. This is their problem. This is an internal crisis. They will handle it. And that's clear. The message is clear here that the NCP is not going to intervene. If there was a hope that Sharad Pawar will kind of save Uddhav Thackeray from all of this embarrassment, it seems like that's not going to happen. And Paulami, there's been a conversation between Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar. There's been endless speculation about what Sharad Pawar will do here. He's saying this is an internal matter of the Shiv Sena. We will not intervene. So it's up to Uddhav Thackeray now to completely sort this out.
Absolutely, it is up to Uddhav Thackeray, and that is something that Sharad Pawar has been saying since yesterday. This is not the first time that he's communicated this, even quite publicly. In that press conference that he held in Delhi yesterday, he of course communicated that this is an internal matter of the Shiv Sena and it has got nothing to do with the NCP. The NCP's house is intact completely, and there is absolutely no reason for the NCP to worry about any sort of defection from the NCP ranks. So Sharad Pawar has made it very clear. It appears, Akshita, that Sharad Pawar is very miffed with the fact that the ranks, as far as the Shiv Sena are concerned, seem to be the one that seem to be falling apart, and that is what is happening. Previously as well, in the Rajya Sabha elections that happened on June 10th and then subsequently in the MLC elections, it is believed that it is the Shiv Sena ranks that broke down, as a result of which the BJP was successful in its bid to get all of its candidates elected, be it the 3 in the Rajya Sabha or the 5 in the MLC elections. So Sharad Pawar is extremely miffed about that fact, and hence now he's thrown the ball completely in Uddhav Thackeray's court and said, you get your house in order and ensure that this government doesn't fall. It is not for the NCP to try and meddle in your affairs and of course try and ensure that the government keeps afloat.
So Sharad Pawar making it very clear that I'm not going to come to your rescue. I'm not going to have to deal with this crisis that's broken out in the Shiv Sena. But it's also surprising because NCP's paid the price before for this kind of problems within the Shiv Sena. As Paul pointed out, in the Rajya Sabha elections, the Legislative Council elections as well, the NCP's also paid the price because of the alliance that they have with the Shiv Sena. And yet Sharad Pawar has said to his party workers, don't interfere, let Shiv Sena iron this out. He's put the onus on Uddhav Thackeray to deal with this and address this particular crisis that the Shiv Sena is dealing with. Ritvik Bhalekar is reporting live from Uddhav's residence. Ritvik, give us more details about this meeting. Was it a phone call that happened between Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar? It's clear at this point that the NCP and the Congress are putting the onus on squarely Uddhav Thackeray, saying deal with this mess.
Yes, there's probably a phone call conversation between CM Uddhav and NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar, because Sharad Pawar was not available in Mumbai yesterday. He flew back to Mumbai in the late in night yesterday. then he is having meetings with his own party leaders. He's talking to them. He's trying to get a sense of what's happening in MVA. We also saw that there was a coordination meeting of MVA leaders. Ajit Pawar, Chhagan Bhujbal, Jayant Patil also met CM Uddhav Thackeray. Also, Congress ministers Balasaheb Thorat and Ashok Chavan were present in the meeting. And this meeting lasted for nearly 1.5 hours. And after that, we saw that Shiv Sena's MLAs were shifted to one of the 5-star hotel in Mumbai in Worli. And they have been kept there. It has been told that there are only 17 MLAs right now with Uddhav, and rest of the MLAs are with Eknath Shinde, and some of the independent MLAs who were supporting Shiv Sena are not in touch, and they have not made their mind yet. So the efforts are being made that more numbers can be gathered, and in that situation, Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray's conversation is considered to be very important, because if they have the number, then only they can go ahead and claim that they are in majority and they can still continue with the government.
Okay, so Ritvik, even as we're tracking this update that's come in on Sharad Pawar making it clear Uddhav Thackeray has to deal with this fallout within the Shiv Sena. Is this a stand that the Congress also echoes? Have they also shared a similar sentiment as Sharad Pawar, saying this is an internal issue of Shiv Sena, let them sort it out?
Congress has remained very indifferent. What they are trying to do is they are just trying to gather all their MLAs together, and they are trying to show that they are united in this situation. No one is talking about what's happening in Shiv Sena right now, because everyone have to save their ship, everyone have to secure their MLAs.
Yeah.
You can see the in charge, Kamal Nath, has landed, and he has also started a meeting with Congress leaders. He'll be meeting Uddhav Thackeray at 12:30 p.m. In the afternoon, and then he'll be talking to Sharad Pawar. The very important meeting today is the state cabinet meeting, which is happening at 1 p.m.
Okay, is there any chance of Uddhav Thackeray actually ironing out all of these issues? Years back, when there was a crisis that Uddhav Thackeray, that the entire Mahavikas Aghadi faced, it was Sharad Pawar who rescued all of them, who ensured that there was embarrassment for the BJP, and thereby the Mahavikas Aghadi came to power. Now, this time around, Sharad Pawar is saying very clearly this is an internal issue of the Shiv Sena. He's put the onus 100% on Uddhav Thackeray, saying Uddhav has to deal with this fallout of a rift within the Shiv Sena. But is the Shiv Sena close to brokering peace with Eknath Shinde? Doesn't look like it. Eknath Shinde just this morning was showing off, saying, I have 40 MLAs with me. I'm standing up for Balasaheb Thackeray's ideology of Hindutva. The Shiv Sena, on the other hand, is playing down this rebellion. They're saying that we've spoken to Shinde for an hour. He remains a Shiv Sainik. They're not willing to take any action or crack the whip against Eknath Shinde. And there's a clear, stark contrast in how Shinde is talking about this rebellion and how Shiv Sena is dealing with it.
शिवसेना हा संघर्ष करणारा पक्ष है, लड़नारा पक्ष है. हम संघर्ष करते रहेंगे. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा? सत्ता जाएगी. और क्या होता है? ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगी? महाराष्ट्र की सत्ता जाएगी, सत्ता वापस आ सकती है.
सर,
लेकिन प्रतिष्ठा होती है पार्टी की, वो सबसे ऊपर है.
शिवसेना के 40 MLAs अभी यहाँ मौजूद है, और सभी लोग जो है, हम बाला साहब ठाकरे जी का जो हिंदुत्व है इस और उनकी जो भूमिका है उसको हम लोग आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं.
So when you hear that comment by Eknath Shinde, it's a clear taunt, a clear jibe at, in fact, Uddhav Thackeray, saying we will follow the ideology of Balasaheb Thackeray of Hindutva. So that's a clear jibe at Uddhav Thackeray as well. Ritvik is still with us on this. Ritvik, is there a possibility that Uddhav Thackeray will again reach out to Eknath Shinde? You know, it's very surprising that the Shiv Sena is playing down this rebellion at a time when Shinde hasn't held back. He's taking on the Shiv Sena, he's taking on Uddhav Thackeray directly, and yet you have the Shiv Sena playing down this rebellion, saying zyada se zyada kya hoga, satta chali jayegi. Is there a possibility then, considering the party is doing everything it can to reach out to Eknath Shinde, of Uddhav again having a conversation with Eknath Shinde?
Yes, the efforts are continuously on from Shiv Sena's side, because horde of leaders from Shiv Sena. There's Sanjay Raut, there's Milind Narvekar, there's Ravi Phatak, then there's another MP from Thane who is very close aide of Eknath Shinde, who is not with Eknath Shinde right now, but he was at Varsha residence, CM's official residence. All of them are trying to contact Shinde and have a talk, have a discussion, but it doesn't seem that Eknath Shinde has any looking back, because the statements which he's making and the show of strength which he's showing through all the video clips which are viral, he has right now more than 34 MLAs with him, and they have been flown to Guwahati now. The path is clear, the stand is clear, and he has also made statements about Hindutva ideology, Bala Sahib's ideology, taking it forward, and there doesn't seem to be any looking back for Eknath Shinde now.
Very clear that Eknath Shinde is not going to reconsider his decision, but that's exactly what the Shiv Sena is banking on here. Polemy, there's information about more MLAs joining hands with Eknath Shinde. You'd think that would have the Shiv Sena worried, but they're continuing to maintain that, we'll ensure the parties together, we're playing down this rebellion, we will take care of this, we'll reach out to Eknath Shinde. Shinde is very busy, clearly, reaching out to as many MLAs as he can. 35 MLAs were told from Surat who flew down to Guwahati. We're being told that there could be more who are joining him today.
That's right. Eknath Shinde obviously is constantly working in a direction where he wants to, of course, ensure that he has maximum strength and numbers on his side, so that this bid that he has launched against the Shiv Sena is successful. So he is working on that at the moment. 35 MLAs, of course, we said, who in fact have arrived from Surat in Guwahati. But like I said, there have been claims that have been made that more could be joining in terms of at least three more Shiv Sena MLAs and 7 more independents who could / smaller parties who could in fact join this camp over here. Yesterday itself we reported about how 2 MOSs in the government of Uddhav Thackeray had joined in fact the rebel camp over here. These MOSs are not from the Shiv Sena, they're independents. Of course there is Bachchu Kadu, who is of course the leader of a very small party. He's not independent per se, he's an MLA, he is an MOS in the Sena government, in the Mahavikas Aghadi government. He in fact landed in Surat, and then there was of course another independent MLA, Rajendra Yedravkar, who in fact is also in the camp as well. He's an independent MLA. So we believe those are the 2 that are being counted when we say 33 plus 2 who have in fact come over here. But yes, Eknath Shinde is hoping to grow his ranks. Remember, if you try to of course draw an analogy of a similar kind, you could think of Sachin Pilot's gambit in Rajasthan, where he of course tried to defect away from the government at that point of time when he was Deputy Chief Minister in the Ashok Gehlot-led government, and he tried to of course show the numbers and the strengths, and possibly and was in touch with the BJP, was again hiding with some of his trusted lieutenants and MLAs inside a hotel outside on the outskirts of Gurgaon in Manesar at that point of time. But unfortunately his bid was unsuccessful because he did not have the numbers. He couldn't come forth with as many numbers as was needed in order to in fact cause a coup in Rajasthan and have the Ashok Gehlot government fall. That didn't happen. The BJP had been in touch with Sachin Pilot at that point of time, even if they might deny it and Pilot might deny it himself. But the fact is that was a failed attempt. So this is a similar analogy that we're talking about again. And of course, Eknath Shinde would hope, and the BJP of course would hope, that this is a successful strategy at that. He is of course looking to grow his ranks at this point of time, so that the demands that he's making, the conditions, so to say, that he's even though the Shiv Sena says he's not laying down any conditions, are in fact met with acceptance and are successful in their bid.
Right. So at this point, Eknath Shinde claims that he has the support of 40 MLAs with him. He's made that comment at the Guwahati airport. Now, we are at this point putting out the number of 35 because the picture that you see on your screens there shows 35 MLAs lined up together. This was at the resort in Surat. Shinde claims more are coming in from Maharashtra. But if 35 MLAs are right now rebelling against the Shiv Sena and have joined hands with Eknath Shinde, What do the numbers look like? You see that on your screens. Before the revolt, the BJP had 113. With the assumption that these rebels will in fact side with the BJP, BJP's number then goes up to a whopping 148, whereas the Shiv Sena loses hugely. From 64, they go down to 29. If in fact the 5 additional MLAs that Shinde is referring to are from the Shiv Sena, that will mean that Sena's number actually goes down to 24. The Congress, the NCP maintain that they haven't lost out any MLAs, that their MLAs are very much with them, so that number doesn't really change. But it's overall for the Mahavikas Aghadi that suffers. Their numbers come down drastically while the BJP's shoots up, and that's where the real trouble begins for not just the Shiv Sena but for the NCP and the Congress as well. We're going to continue breaking down all the numbers for you. The latest reactions and much more coming your way with Preeti Chaudhary in just a few moments from now. Stay with us.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999 892171. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye. Unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% pure prime time. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV.
You are...
If Robert Pattinson is the most attractive man in the world, Amber Heard has the world's most beautiful face. Well, if we go by science, Heard dominated headlines in recent past for her highly publicized defamation case against ex-husband Johnny Depp. Does she indeed have the most beautiful face in the world? A famous plastic surgeon thinks so, and here's why. According to London-based plastic surgeon Dr. Julian De Silva, Heard topped his list of world's most beautiful women back in 2016. The surgeon used the Greek golden ratio of beauty, phi, to support his claims. The phi ratio of 1.618 has long been thought to hold the secret for beauty. De Silva has facial scanning technology that allows him to map faces to deduce which faces have perfect proportions. He analyzed 12 key points of Heard's facial structure, including her eyes, lips, nose, chin, and overall face shape. Dr. De Silva discovered that Heard's face was 91.85% accurate to the Greek golden ratio of beauty, phi. This was even higher than other famous subjects he studied. Using the same algorithm, it was discovered that Scarlett Johansson has the most perfect eyes, Rihanna has the perfect face shape, model and actress Emily has the most beautiful lips, Kim Kardashian has the best eyebrows, Supermodel Kate Moss has the perfect forehead, and singer Selena Gomez was hot on her heels.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
You are watching India Today.
India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye. Unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% pure prime time. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV.
Presented by Aditya Birla Group, Big in Your Life. Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist. Co-presented by JK Panchergard Tire. अब हवा नहीं निकलेगी. Powered by NECC. Sunday हो या Monday, रोज खाओ अंडे.
Welcome back, viewers. Let's cut across to the latest news break that we are getting in. It does seem that the Shiv Sena is fraying at its edges and the Mahavikas Aghadi on its last legs right now. Maharashtra BJP MLAs, in light of all that's been going down, have been alerted to be at respective locations and be accessible and within mobile network. Those in Mumbai have been asked not to leave Mumbai and cancel all the scheduled tours. A call has been made, viewers, where the Bharatiya Janata Party MLAs are concerned. There are 106 in all. To give you the breakup, the BJP says it already has 113 MLAs, 106 of the BJP and other of smaller parties and independents. And each one of them has been told to be available within a call made. Clearly, the BJP reading the leaves where Maharashtra politics is concerned. Call has been made by the BJP top brass, understandably. Devendra Fadnavis, the man you see on your television screen on the left-hand side, he'd be watching all of this very, very closely. That expression pretty much befits how Devendra Fadnavis would be viewing the current political scenario in Maharashtra. Operation Lotus, launched by Devendra Fadnavis, had failed, but this is Operation Lotus 2.0 and he could be viewers, and that's the operative part, could be within kissing distance of coming back to power in Maharashtra. He was been cut up. Devendra Fadnavis is the man who felt slighted. As per the mandate belonged to the BJP and the Shiv Sena. He's always felt that power was stolen from him by the Mahavikas Aghadi, and now time has come clearly to reclaim that. And this time around, unlike Operation Lotus, which he had launched the first time around with Ajit Pawar, this time around it's not his doing. It is an insider who is making Shiv Sena bleed, and that insider is also on your television screens on the left-hand side. Eknath Shinde being mobbed by television reporters as he touches down with his badge of MLAs in Guwahati. Now, I'll tell you what all has gone up in the last 12-13 hours, viewers. Eknath Shinde from last night said to Uddhav Thackeray, I have 35 MLAs. He now says, I have 40 MLAs. If that is the question, then one thing is clear, viewers, that the Mahavikas Aghadi is in deep, deep trouble. On the other hand, let's get you what's taking place in the NCP's camp. Sharad Pawar has told his MLAs. Now, the NCP is watertight. Sharad Pawar complete control over his band of MLAs. But he's made this one thing very clear. He's spoken with Uddhav Thackeray at length. He had a telephonic conversation this morning. Yesterday, his nephew, Ajit Pawar, had met, who's a deputy CM, had met Uddhav Thackeray. And this morning, Sharad Pawar had a conversation with Uddhav Thackeray, and after that, the message that Sharad Pawar has given the NCP MLAs is rather clear, which he says is this is the internal matter of the Shiv Sena, let them sort it out. The fact, viewers, is that Sharad Pawar is not clearly coming to the rescue or trying to manage, with what is going down. He's deciding to stay away. He's left Uddhav Thackeray to his own devices, or maybe Uddhav Thackeray is asked to be left to his own devices. But the NCP right now maintains that this is the internal matter of the Shiv Sena. But, viewers, is it really the internal matter of the Shiv Sena? Because it has the gravest potential of taking the entire Maha Vikas Aghadi government down. This alliance that has been uneasy, that has been afloat, fighting against various attempts by Devendra Fadnavis to bring it down. But right now, the numbers are up on the wall. It does seem that the BJP, viewers, has the clear edge. Why do I say that? The total strength of the House is 285. The halfway mark is 144. Where does the BJP stand right now? 148. The Sena, if losing all the MLAs that Eknath Shinde says he has, will be brought down to a 29 MLAs. The Sena had, viewers, 56 MLAs. The NCP standing at 57, the Congress at 44. Congress also says that all of its MLAs are with it, and it is only the Shiv Sena which is now where the leak is coming from, and that leak, viewers, has come from an insider, Eknath Shinde. Meanwhile, the Maha political potboiler is only getting hotter by the minute. Sena Senior Minister Eknath Shinde and rebel MLAs have landed in Guwahati. They were holed up in Surat, viewers, till about late last night. There were speculations. Will they be moved deeper into Gujarat, or will they be taken to Assam, Guwahati? The primary reason, Surat's very close from Mumbai, because, mind you, last evening the emissaries that were sent by Uddhav Thackeray were able to meet the MLAs who were in the resort in Surat and Eknath Shinde. Now, to avoid any more contact with the mothership of the Shiv Sena, headed by Uddhav Thackeray, the BJP moved them this morning all the way, viewers, to Assam, Guwahati. And when Eknath Shinde, with his band of MLAs, landed, understandably, he was asked a lot of questions by the press that was waiting out, and he chose to answer many of them. The biggest claim that he made to the press this morning as Eknath Shinde landed in Guwahati was the support of 40 MLAs, which is enough to dodge the bullet of the anti-defection law. That is, viewers, that out of the 40 that he claims, 37 MLAs come from the Shiv Sena. It's not about the figure 40. He needs 37 MLAs from his own party, the Shiv Sena, to dodge the anti-defection law, to possibly split the party, form his own party, or look at forming his own government. He says he's very close. As per him, he says he has 35 MLAs from the Shiv Sena, 5 from other parties. That means he's, as per his claims, requires only 2 more MLAs from the Shiv Sena. Before flying to Guwahati, rebel MLAs pledged support to Eknath Shinde and signed papers as well. The BJP, understandably, is in overdrive. They're going to be very careful this time. They've already had a failed Operation Lotus in Maharashtra. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has stepped into the Maha political dangal, and Himanta Biswa Sarma is known to be a troubleshooter of sorts when it comes down to political turmoil. And he's also stepped in. He visited the resort early morning before the arrival of the Sena rebel MLAs in Guwahati. Meanwhile, if Shinde decides to go with the BJP, then they have enough numbers to form a government in Maharashtra. The majority mark in the Maharashtra Assembly is 144. Shinde, with the help of 40 rebel MLAs and the BJP, are easily surpassing that magic number. In midst of all this political drama, senior Sena leaders and MP Sanjay Raut said he had a conversation with Eknath Shinde for an hour on Wednesday. Raut added that Shinde is a close friend and will remain a Shiv Sainik. But, if you hear Sanjay Raut, in his latest comment to the media, the tonality has changed, and I would reckon that's where the devil is usually in the details. Sanjay Raut till yesterday said that there is no issue. Eknath Shinde is going to come back. There is no threat to the Maha Vikas Aghadi. This morning, Sanjay Raut told the press, "Agar satta jati hai, to kya hua?" Is this an admittance of defeat? Let's cut across to all the reactions that are coming in.
शिव सेना के 40 MLAs अभी यहाँ मौजूद है और सभी लोग जो है हम बाला साहब ठाकरे जी का जो हिंदुत्व है इस और उनकी जो भूमिका है उसको हम लोग आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं।
शिवसेना हा संघर्ष करणारा पक्ष है, लड़नारा पक्ष है। हम संघर्ष करते रहेंगे। ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा? सत्ता जाएगी और क्या होता है? ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगी? महाराष्ट्र की सत्ता जाएगी, सत्ता वापस आ सकती है सर, लेकिन प्रतिष्ठा होती है पार्टी की, वो सबसे ऊपर है। एकनाथ शिंदे जी हमारे बहुत पुराने साथी हैं, उनको भी इतना आसान नहीं है पार्टी छोड़ना और हमको भी इतना आसान नहीं है उनको छोड़ना। हमारा डायलॉग चल रहा है। आज सुबह भी मेरी एकनाथ शिंदे जी से बातचीत चल रही थी। आज सुबह हम दोनों ने 1 घंटा बातचीत की है। यहाँ से जो बातचीत हुई उस बारे में मैंने पार्टी चीफ को बताया है। कोई बात छुप कर नहीं रहती है। वापस एक बार बात हो जाएगी। उनके साथ जो विधायक है उनसे भी हमारी बातचीत चल रही है। सभी शिवसेना में है, शिवसेना में रहेंगे।
सौदे की राजनीति है जिसका देश में आज उपयोग किया जा रहा है। झारखंड में देखें, मध्य प्रदेश का उदाहरण आप जानते हैं, पैसा और पोस्ट की राजनीति, ये हमारे संविधान के विपरीत है। और ये राजनीति की शुरुआत आगे के लिए बहुत खतरे की बात है। हमें शिवसेना को अपने आप तय करना है, वो अपने विधायकों से कैसे बात करेंगे। जहाँ तक कांग्रेस का प्रश्न है, कांग्रेस में पूरी एकता है। कांग्रेस के विधायक दिखाऊ नहीं है, कांग्रेस के विधायक सब टिके रहेंगे।
एकनाथ शिंदे के साथ बागी विधायकों का दल इस वक्त गुवाहाटी में है। क्या रणनीति आगे की?
निर्दल नहीं है, हमारी तहार की पार्टी है। तहार और मैं और हमारे साथी का और विधायक है और अभी तक 40 तो हो गए और बढ़ेंगे, 10 तक और बढ़ेंगे, 50 हो जाएंगे।
सर आप ये बड़ा दावा कर रहे हैं कि ये संख्या 50 हो जाएगी, क्योंकि कल 20 से 34 से लेकर के आज 40 का दावा एकनाथ शिंदे ने खुद किया है और आप कह रहे हैं कि ये संख्या 50 भी हो सकती है।
हाँ, 50
तो अब आगे की रणनीति क्या है सर? इसके बारे में भी अगर आप हमारे दर्शकों को बता सकें।
अभी बस सत्ता प्रस्तावित करना है, सत्ता की तरफ जाना है।
तो बच्चू जी, गुवाहाटी में अब और कितने दिन?
गुवाहाटी में कितने दिन ये नहीं बता सकते हम। वो तो आज भी निकल सकते, कल भी जा सकते हैं।
लेकिन बगावत की वजह क्या है, ये भी दर्शक समझना चाहते हैं।
ठीक है, ओके, चलो। और कुछ
जी, बगावत की वजह भी समझना चाहते हैं। आखिर एकनाथ शिंदे बगावत पर क्यों उतरे?
वो तो सब बताएंगे ना, अभी फोन पर क्यों इतने बताएंगे।
All right, viewers, I'm going to take you through the latest news break that is coming in, and this is huge. The Maharashtra Deputy Speaker Narhari Zirwal has spoken to India Today. The Deputy Speaker has accepted Shiv Sena's recommendation for change of legislative party leader. What does this actually mean? Let's quickly listen in.
साहेब, ते काल जे आपल्याला पत्र दिलंय विधिमंडळ गटनेते पदाच्या बदलाचं, ते आपण स्वीकारलंय का? त्याच्यावर निर्णय घेतला? मग आता नवीन गटनेते म्हणून आपण मान्यता दिली आहे ना?
हो हो हो.
पण त्यांनी जो आक्षेप घेतला होता की 22 आमदारांच्या सह्या आहेत, त्याच्याबाबत काय साहेब?
नाही, त्याच्यात तशी तरतूद अशी आहे का गटनेता निवड ही पक्ष नेत्यांनी केलेली असते.
अच्छा.
त्याच्यामुळे त्यांना बदलण्याचे अधिकार आहेत.
बरं बरं. आज आपली चर्चा झाली उपमुख्यमंत्र्यांसोबत, त्याच्याबाबत काय सांगू शकाल का?
कशाच्या?
आज आपण उपमुख्यमंत्र्यांना भेटलात, तर या परिस्थितीवर चर्चा झाली किंवा काय चर्चा झाली?
नाही, याच्या संदर्भात नाही काही चर्चा झाली.
बरं. आता पुढे काय ह्या सगळ्या आमदारांच्या बाबत काय निर्णय आपल्याकडनं तिकडच्या पक्षाकडनं, काय शिवसेनेकडनं काय आपल्याकडे विनंती आली आहे?
नाही, कुठल्याच प्रकारची काही विनंती आलेली नाही. फक्त गटनेते बदली तेवढंच आलं होतं.
Viewers, what you just saw was a conversation with the Deputy Speaker. It's in Marathi. Bear with us, a little patience has just come in. We're going to just translate it for our viewers, but not as proficient in Marathi, so I'm going to bring in our Mumbai Bureau Chief Sahil Joshi in this conversation. But this was something, Sahil, which had happened yesterday as well, where the Shiv Sena leaders had met the Deputy Speaker of the Maharashtra Assembly, asking that the legislative party leader, who in this question is Eknath Shinde, be removed and Ajay Chaudhary be appointed.
This is Deputy Speaker Narhari Jirwal, with whom my colleague Kamlesh Sutar spoke just a while back. He, of course, speaks only in Marathi, Narhari Jirwal, and that's why he has given this phono in Marathi. But the content of this particular telephonic conversation clearly says that Narhari Jirwal has accepted Shiv Sena's letter to appoint Ajay Chaudhary as a leader of Shiv Sena's legislative party in Maharashtra Assembly, and he has been accepted as a leader of the group in Maharashtra Assembly of Shiv Sena, whereas Eknath Shinde was actually the leader of the group, and he has split the party and taken many MLAs to Guwahati. But despite that, Narhari Jirwal says it is the prerogative of the party leader, who is Uddhav Thackeray, to appoint a leader of the group in Maharashtra Assembly, and that is why if the leader of the group can be appointed by the leader of the party, that is Uddhav Thackeray, then he can also be sacked by the leader of the party, and that's why he has accepted that claim of Shiv Sena. So as per Deputy Speaker of Maharashtra Assembly, there is no speaker in Maharashtra Assembly at this point of time. So obviously Deputy Speaker is performing duties of the Speaker of Maharashtra Assembly. So according to him, the new legislative party leader, the leader of the group of Maharashtra Assembly, is going to be...
All right, okay, Sahil, I'm coming in because we're getting in more news breaks coming, at this juncture. Sanjay Raut, after saying that kya hua satta chali jayegi to jaye, has now hinted at dissolving the state assembly. Breathless political developments as they are taking place. I'm going to pull in Sahil back into this conversation. Sahil, on what we were just talking about, it's interesting that the legislative leader will be removed. But on the other hand, Sahil, if Eknath Shinde says he has support of 40 MLAs, why can't he take a decision, sack the 16 loyalist MLAs to Uddhav and claim their faction is the original, because he has the majority support of 40 MLAs out of 56?
Well, interesting part is that Sanjay Raut tweeting this, it is kind of a threat to the MLAs who have gone to Guwahati. What it completely means is that Shiv Sena thinks that they can suggest, the Chief Minister can suggest that Assembly should be dissolved, as he has no mandate at this point of time. But it doesn't look like that a governor will accept that particular claim. Before that, the BJP can definitely move in. The cabinet meeting has not yet happened. And in that meeting, this has to happen, that, the Chief Minister can suggest, with the help of cabinet, that the assembly can be dissolved. But finally, it will be the prerogative of the governor to actually listen to it or not. So now the whole battle might go into the legal tangle at this point of time. What it looks like, the whole tweet clearly it's coming out as a threat to the MLAs who have gone to Guwahati, because no MLA would like to go for an election at this point of time, because it's just 2.5 years. Maharashtra Assembly has completed only 2.5 years. So, immediately going for an election within 2.5 years, no MLA wants that. So that is the reason why I think it looks like that he's threatening the MLAs who have gone to Guwahati with Eknath Shinde. But it seems very unlikely at this point of time, because it clearly can be seen that Eknath Shinde has more number of MLAs than that of Uddhav
But Sahil, it is a smoke and shadows game if you look at it. It's very interesting, because just an hour ago, Sanjay Raut had spoken with us, and he'd said, "Ke satta jaye to jaye." So somewhere down the line, there's an acceptance that there's a, scenario which is bigger than the others, that the Shiv Sena could lose power. But coming back to the original question, Sahil, if Eknath Shinde claims that he has the support of 40 MLAs from the Shiv Sena, what stops him from sacking the other 16 loyalists to Uddhav and claim that his faction is the original Shiv Sena?
At this point of time, he doesn't want to give an impression that he has broken Shiv Sena, whereas he wants, he has been saying since yesterday all the time that he wants to keep the party intact, and that is what he's trying to do. What it looks like at this point of time is that he is trying to push Uddhav Thackeray to accept that the MLAs has defied him. MLAs does not want to have a government with Congress and NCP. So he should just accept the mandate by the MLAs. He should accept what the MLAs are saying. And as a party, they should ally with the BJP. And that's what many of the BJP MLAs who met the party hierarchy, party high command, BJP high command in Delhi as well, they also were trying to give this message through these MLAs to Uddhav Thackeray that, accept that you have lost the majority of your MLAs. So it's better to keep the party intact, bring these MLAs back to the party and then, ally with us, make BJP chief minister in Maharashtra. So that is what is the game at this point of time. He doesn't want to come ahead as a leader who has broken the party. He is still claiming that he is the original Shiv Sena in Maharashtra Legislative Assembly at this point of time. Please understand, he has not broken the party.
Right.
He has broken the group of party's legislative group. So that is what it clearly looks like at this point of time. But to tell you that yesterday when I spoke to him, they clearly told me that they have taken signatures of all the MLAs. The letter has been prepared. If Uddhav Thackeray doesn't accept this, they are going to submit this letter to the Deputy Speaker of Maharashtra Assembly to say that they are forming a separate group in Maharashtra Assembly and give them
Sahil, what does separate group mean? Separate group will mean the mothership of the Shiv Sena if there are 40 MLAs.
Yes, of course. The separate group means this will be a separate party group within Maharashtra Legislative Party, the group of Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. Please understand, the CLP, the Legislative Party, and the actual party are two different things. The party is not broken in middle, but the Legislative Party is definitely broken. Legislative Party has, the more number of MLAs are at this point of time with Eknath Shinde. So he can certainly form a separate group without attracting anti-defection law. Because if he has more than 37 MLAs, that means he has more than 2/3 MLAs who were elected on Shiv Sena symbol on 2019. So he can form a separate group and then go and claim that, give recognition to this separate group, and then that separate group can support BJP to form the government.
True. How much role, Sahil, I want to bring you in again, because how much role now will the speaker play if there is an attempt by the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray, to dissolve the state assembly? Because the governor is already in hospital, Mr. Koshyari. He's tested positive for COVID. He has mild symptoms, but he's still in the hospital right now.
That is a new development at this point of time. The way these things happens, that nobody was expecting that Bhagat Singh Koshyari will be contacted with COVID at this point of time, and now he has been hospitalized. Almost 4-5 days he will be in the hospital. But it doesn't look like that there will be any hurry from the splinter group, because they are still gathering people around. Eknath Shinde is claiming that he has support of 40 MLAs, but not 40 MLAs from Shiv Sena, right? The MLAs who were elected on Shiv Sena symbol. Right now he has support of almost 35. He needs 2 more people. The moment he has those 2 more people, he will immediately send the letter to a Deputy Speaker first. Deputy Speaker, if accepts his claim, then it's fine. Otherwise, there is going to be a legal fight as well. Because just a while back, Kamlesh Sutar broke the story that how the Deputy Speaker has already accepted the claim made by the Shiv Sena. I mean, the original Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray. So, for the benefit of the viewers, we can call it Shiv Sena Uddhav group and Shiv Sena Eknath Shinde group. So, Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray group has already claimed the new CLP leader, who is now Ajay Chaudhary, MLA from Lal Bagh. And this man, Eknath Shinde, will now send a separate letter once he gets those support of those 37 MLAs that make me a leader of the group. I'm splitting from the legislative party group, and our group will be recognized separately, and we don't want to support this government, and that kind of letter can be submitted to the governor later. So there are multiple technicalities still involved. We'll have to wait and see. What we can clearly see,
for somebody who's been watching the scenarios unfold, is it going as per the Karnataka plan? Do we see it go down with what happened in Karnataka, where ultimately the issue went to the courts and it hung fire for days at end?
Well, it may go to the court, but it will not go to the Karnataka way, because none of the MLAs will have to resign in this scenario, because
anti-defection law is being
already has Yeah, because Eknath Shinde already seems to have numbers at this point of time. So that's why it doesn't look like that he will need to resign. I mean, no MLA will need to resign. And more importantly, what we can see at this here at this point of time is that the Congress and NCP have realized that there is a problem. Shiv Sena does not have the numbers. Uddhav Thackeray in the morning spoke to Sharad Pawar spoke to Uddhav Thackeray in the morning to understand that what exactly is the number game. Look at what happened in 2019. By evening, Sharad Pawar was confident that he has the numbers, but it's been a day, but yet Uddhav Thackeray is not confident whether he has the numbers or not. So playing with technicalities will just delay
Sahil,
the
is
things.
there a possibility right now, the way things are building up, is there a possibility that Uddhav Thackeray faction of the Shiv Sena will be able to pull the MLAs to less than 30 in terms of support to Eknath Shinde? Or do you think Eknath Shinde, in all probabilities, will reach the 37 mark quicker?
Well, I don't think that there is any rabbit left in the hat of Uddhav Thackeray. Whatever need to be pulled out were already pulled out in 2019. Now it's clearly a number game. If you have the numbers, why Devendra Fadnavis could not form the government despite he tried various tactics is because he did not have the numbers. And same thing goes with Uddhav Thackeray now in 2022. Right now he does not have the numbers. If he doesn't have the numbers, whatever tactics he play will not going to help him to save the government.
You know, there's a question that
More
has been,
importantly, what needs to be seen.
You know, Sahil, I want to bring you in because
now,
Sahil, I want to bring you in. Do answer this question. Now, Sanjay Raut has tweeted hinting at possible dissolution of the assembly. Till now, NCP's stake in all of this has been, this is the internal matter of the Shiv Sena. They'll sort it out. Without the consent of the NCP and the Congress, which are in alliance with the Shiv Sena, can dissolution actually take place? Because everybody would have to be on board.
Yeah, of course, everybody needs to be on the board, and not only because the Chief Minister has suggested the governor will accept this. You know, the central government is definitely looking at the situation very closely. As I said, the BJP top brass is involved in this Operation Lotus. They are monitoring the situation. They know every update what is happening. Devendra Fadnavis is of course in touch with the BJP top brass in Delhi at this point of time. They also know what is happening here. They are also keeping close watch on the situation. The way they intervened on 23rd of November 2019, to go ahead and had the swearing in of Ajit Pawar and Devendra Fadnavis early in the morning, they can still do that because finally the governor reports to the Home Ministry. So that is the reason why, even if Uddhav Thackeray wants that, that is going to be really difficult. It is going to go back into the legal tangles. As I said, if you don't have the numbers, using technicalities, you can just delay the things, but you can't avoid the fate. And that is what I think Uddhav Thackeray will eventually realize, that he just doesn't have the numbers at this point of time.
You know, Sahil, before I'm going to let you go, I'm going to come, one very quick question. Let's talk about the other scenario in all of this. Is President's rule then imminent?
President's rule will only happen if the governor will come to the conclusion that there is nobody who can form the government. It doesn't look like at this point of time that the numbers are heavily now towards BJP. The BJP themselves have 113 MLAs with them, 106 of their own, and 7 others who are supporting the BJP, plus the splinter group of Eknath Shinde, who have almost crossed 45. Which includes some independent MLAs who were supporting Shiv Sena. So they already have the numbers. It's just a question of whether the governor will ask Uddhav Thackeray to prove his majority on the floor of the house and then can call the BJP to form the government. I think it's done deal at this point of time. We just have to wait and see that when actually this done deal comes into existence. That's
all right. So when does the BJP go for the final kill is what Sahil Joshi is suggesting, that the deal is pretty much done. And the admittance of that was with what Sanjay Raut said earlier to the press, because viewers just read the language there. Till yesterday, Sanjay Raut from the Shiv Sena would come out of Uddhav Thackeray's residence and after the meeting of the MLAs and the MPs later on, saying that the government is intact. What did Sanjay Raut say this morning? Satta jati hai to jaye. Kya ho gaya? A lot to read into that statement. Now let's just shift focus, because it seems that the BJP is clearly pulling this deal through. They are waiting for the final kill, possibly for the MLA count of Eknath Shinde to increase from 35 to 37. Eknath Shinde claims he has the support of 40 MLAs right now. 35 of them are from the Shiv Sena, is what Eknath Shinde claims. Now, to skirt the anti-defection law and to avoid it from kicking in, Eknath Shinde will need 37 MLAs. He's just too short. So the odds right now in favor of Eknath Shinde, which also mean in favor of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and hectic activity already beginning outside the residence of Devendra Fadnavis. Already word has gone to all the BJP MLAs in Maharashtra that they need to be in Maharashtra as of today, this morning, and should be available within a call. One call made and BJP MLAs should make themselves available. I want to cut across to my colleague Paras, who's standing outside Devendra Fadnavis' residence. Paras, suddenly from a studied silence in front of Mr. Fadnavis' house, hectic activity taking place. Take us through the drama.
Yeah, of course. So activities has been started over here. We are standing right outside Devendra Fadnavis' house, his residence, and we can see lot of MLAs, lot of Bharatiya Janata Party senior leaders entering this very residence, and it's very important because the situation which is building up in Maharashtra right now, it's very tense, and what will happen, everyone wants to know that. So right now inside some briefing will be happening. Praveen Darekar, the senior leader of Bharatiya Janata Party, just entered a few minutes ago. The most important name is Geeta Jain. Geeta Jain is the MLA, independent MLA. We had seen first few days back that she just landed her support to Shiv Sena, and she also went inside some time ago, and she had a talk with Devendra Fadnavis. So now the situation has been very tense for Shiv Sena and MVA government because it's an urge of perishing now. So the what will be the planning of Devendra Fadnavis will be very important. What is the planning of Bharatiya Janata Party is very important because the action has started right outside.
Paras, I'm going to go into a break now, but would you do us a favor? Can you ask your camera person just to pan and show us what's happening in front of Devendra Fadnavis on those visuals? We're going to cut into a quick break. Stay with us. Coming back to you after this break. Show us those visuals first. All right, okay, so that's Devendra Fadnavis is out. We're going to try and get in. Paras's camera is on the tripod there. He's going to try and get us, an indication of what we are seeing. So yes, a lot of cars pulling in. Paras, stay with us. Back with you in exactly 2 minutes. Stepping into a quick break. Viewers, our breathless coverage, hopefully not breathless, but our coverage of all that is going on in Maharashtra in terms of breathless news breaks. India Today will get you the ringside view, the vantage position on this developing story. It does seem that the Shiv Sena is fraying at its edges. The Mahavikas Aghadi is on its last legs. Will the BJP go in for the kill? Well, trust India Today to get you the news first. A quick break. Stay with us.
India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye, unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% news that matters. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV.